Okay, Sam. It's just you and me here, right? Our wives aren't here. It's just the boys.
I got a cat and a dog with me, I'll be honest.
Okay. I got a dog here too, but he's just a silent witness. So it's just the boys.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So we can be honest. Have you ever been to a swimsuit contest?
I don't think I have, no. I've been to way worse places than that, but I haven't been to a swimsuit contest.
Okay.
And frankly, it would be awfully cold in England to go to a swimsuit contest.
That's true.
Have you?
I have not, but we've got the means to do it. Why don't we put together an official G-Spot swimsuit contest? We gather up all our kaiju buddies, all the ones that we know so far, and we get them in the skimpiest swimsuits we can, and we decide who's taking home the gold. So what do you think?
Yeah, okay. I'm glad that my life has led to this moment.
We've come a long way in just 7 episodes.
Are we talking bikini, male speedo, whatever we've deemed it to be? Yeah. And are they kind of like walking down a catwalk?
How do swimsuit contests work? Do they walk down a catwalk? I'm imagining like a Simpsons sketch where they're sort of standing on just a stage. Maybe shaking it a little bit.
Yeah, do like a spin. We got Godzilla, Anguillus, King Kong. All right. Mothra, Ghidorah, Rodan, the person we'll be talking about today, Ebirah, and a few others, Bones of Infant Island, right?
Exactly, yeah. Let's not forget any of the minor players.
The minor ones, no. The lizard from Faroe Islands.
Yes.
And there's I don't want to, no spoilers, but there's another one that shows up pretty randomly today.
We've got a new kid on the block, yep.
Absolutely, that was pretty random.
Ghidorah brings some variety, I think.
The idea of Ghidorah in the swimsuit is incredible because you have this flailing monster that literally cannot stand still, is constantly screaming, but you know they're trying to impress you in the swimsuit, right? You know they're actually trying to win you over. So that kind of duality is really appealing.
And the possibility of not just one swimsuit top, but maybe he's got like a little one sort of on each of the around each of the necks at the base.
Yeah, so versatility is a big part of Ghidorah's appeal. Now, honestly, I think we have to give it to King Kong, and it's going to be a bikini.
Now, are you doing this just because he's the most humanoid?
Undoubtedly, yes. The image of this very kind of patchy, velvety, arm-waving kind of King Kong while also being carried aloft in a balloon. That's actually the way that King Kong shows off his bikini. Everyone else is on a stage, but King Kong just floats on in a few balloons. He doesn't go too far, but he's just floating.
He gets airlifted in. I see. He's just floating around.
He's just floating around. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? That's a great question.
I've thought about it a little bit, probably more than I should have, honestly. Anguillus kind of brings that full body look. Rodan might be a bit bony, and you might think I was going to say Mothra, but I also thought King Kong would bring the goods. Let's keep all of this under our hat. Is that a phrase?
Let's just keep it under our speedo, tucked in.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the G-Spot. It's a place where we glorify and make a case for B, C, and D movies of yesterday and today that, despite being the monsters they are, deserve your attention, respect, and dare I say it, love. And if you're curious, the G stands for Godzilla, by the way. I am one of your courageous kaiju co-hosts. My name is Raymond, but I'm not alone.
I'm here, Sam, Raymond's good friend and novice in the ways of Godzilla, but a very keen student.
Thank you again for being here. Everything that we both just said is totally true. And in short, we sort of recap monster movies in stupidly minute detail. Some might say it's a waste of time. Others might say it's also a waste of time. But a very small subset of a minority might say this is a vital public service. It's kind of unbelievable, Sam, but this week we're sitting down with our swim trunks and our flip-flops and our sunscreen on our noses,
Yes.
to talk about 1966's Ebirah Horror of the Deep, and we're almost halfway through
Horror
with
of the Deep.
Toho's shower era of Godzilla films.
Is that right? Okay, cool. So yeah, there must be some long eras coming up because we've only jumped ahead 12 years. I hope so.
Yeah. Well, we started in 50. Yes, you're exactly right. 12 years.
Yeah, 54.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We started in 54. How do you feel being almost halfway through?
I feel so much more confident in who I am as a Godzilla fan and aspirational know-it-all. But yeah, no, you know, when you've been doing something just long enough that you're like, no, I get this now. I get this now. It's yeah. So I'm enjoying it very much. I'm looking forward to each movie as they come along, and today was kind of back to basics in a certain way, but we are going to new places, and that's what I'm always keen on with Godzilla.
Yeah, man, we are definitely trying out a few new things while sticking true to the established brand. I don't know at all what you thought of this movie. We haven't talked about this much at all this week. It was pretty close to radio silence, so I'm very excited to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
I might have given away my thoughts a little bit, but we'll see. This is the first and one of only two Toho Godzilla films to be set outside of mainland Japan. We've done an island visit before. We've done two of them.
Sure. Oh, yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, but how do we like this change in scenery, especially as like the primary setting for the movie? Do we feel this one has a little bit of different flavor?
This movie, as I kind of alluded to before, it does feel like it's going back to the certain structure of King Kong Versus.
Yep.
In just the way the movie kind of elaborates itself. But it is quite islandy, tropical, adventurous, and some other kind of motifs that show up. But it didn't feel like a huge difference. Like for you to say it's the first one set, entirely outside of Japan. I feel like with the last movie, Invasion of Asteroid Space, you kind of felt there were enough.
We were definitely out there.
Yeah, even though it was like a claustrophobic movie, we are definitely going around the world, and even the Ghidorah one, I feel like that was a bit out there. So yeah, while it does have this tropical island feel, I don't know, I still felt like I knew the movie pretty well as soon as it started.
True. It's not as if we're going too far afield. We're still in the Pacific.
You feel like we've been here in multiple different movies already. I think that's the issue, is they have one kind of type for island, and we've seen it like 3 times.
Sure. And it doesn't help that this island, the island in question, is pretty close to an island we've seen before.
It feels like home territory, regardless of it being outside of
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned King Kong a few times, and that this sort of felt close to that film in spirit, because there are actually some ties to King Kong on the development side of things. So, Sam, do you remember the wild and sort of unusual story of King Kong versus Godzilla, and how it was essentially like a cribbed idea from the original King Kong film's stop motion animator, Willis O'Brien, how it was meant to feature Frankenstein and all that?
That's not where I thought you were going, although it's pretty easy now you say that to know exactly what you're talking about. Because there was a scene in this movie, and you forget all the island stuff, where I was like, Godzilla shouldn't be doing this, King Kong should be doing this. That Godzilla, the Frankenstein thing, yeah, that's pretty apparent in this movie.
Well, so we can trace all of this, all the DNA. So this film's pre-production had a similar backdrop of kind of rights issues and kaiju swapping, which you've just touched on, although thankfully not as much intellectual theft. So this was supposed to be a King Kong picture. I think we can both believe that. The original title was to be Operation Robinson Crusoe, King Kong vs. Ebirah.
So that's 100%.
Okay. And it would have once more made use of Toho's 5-year deal with RKO Pictures. That deal ran from 1962 to 1967, and they were the studio that made the original King Kong.
Oh, well.
Yeah. They also still held the original film rights to that character. So this new Kong cum crustacean showdown was also meant to be a co-production with Rankin Bass Animated Entertainment, who are set to release a new animated project, The King Kong Show, that year.
Ooh.
The show... I did dig into this show a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
It didn't run long. It aired
Oh, it happened.
What? The show did happen. It didn't.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I don't care about. I want it to be
Okay,
bad.
good.
I was worried it never came. It was never brought to
Oh
conception.
yeah, no. It didn't last too long, but it aired Saturday mornings from autumn 1966 to spring 1967. It saw a kindlier, more protective Kong caring for and defending a pair of siblings from aliens, monsters, mad scientists, and so on. Yeah, pretty boilerplate Saturday morning stuff. It was meant to be sort of a side venture for Toho rather than a mainline Godzilla entry originally. Because of that, the higher-ups tapped Jun Fukuda, who had primarily worked in TV up to this point. They tapped him to direct, and they also got a protege of Eiji Tsuburaya named Sadamasa Arikawa to handle special effects. So we do not have...
This is the new generation.
Right, we don't have Ishiro Honda. We don't have Eiji Tsuburaya.
Dang.
This kind of designation of a B team of new blood somewhat understandably bothered Rankin Bass, who expected a Honda Tsuburaya joint.
He's got standards, right?
Yeah, they wanted, the cream of the crop.
Deal.
So when Toho stood their ground, this is who we're giving you, Rankin and Bass said, nah, dog. They took their money and they dropped out. Toho, meanwhile, they didn't want to let a good script go to waste, so they subbed Kong for Godzilla, and they decided to make this their big holiday season tentpole film, later making up with Rankin and Bass for 1967, so later in the same year even, King Kong Escapes, led by
I saw that.
Ishiro Honda. And
yeah.
You've got the dream team there. So that film was based on their short-lived cartoon series, and it included arguably one of the best antagonist kaiju out there, Mechanicong.
Yes, absolutely. So that's now you tell me that really speaks to, first of all, it really speaks to Ebirah, the villain kaiju we're going to meet today, because they are, we don't have to go into too much detail now, but the way they are presented compared to previous kaiju is pretty mild.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty mild, I'd say. Not in presentation, but in the scope of their damage, the scope of their effect on the
Oh, I see. So pretty tame in so far as amount of evil, or...
Yeah, absolutely. And, destruction, just, we're going to have this spin-off episode, which isn't really all that world-changing, because it wasn't meant to be Godzilla. It was meant to be King Kong, which is its own little, franchise.
Exactly, yeah. This
isn't the worldwide galaxy traveling world of the Godzilla universe.
Right.
This was meant to be a slightly different...
Yeah. It feels... I think we're back to cartoon Godzilla for this movie.
Yep. Periodical, serial, like episodical.
Yeah.
Yep. Who's the bad guy? Bring him in. We'll knock him out. Find me a new one. We'll do it next week.
Yeah, definitely. A bit of a Hanna-Barbera cartoon sort of deal.
Yeah.
Even in especially in how the human characters are taken care of.
Yeah, and we have some pretty novel group leading us in their backgrounds. Not in their not necessarily in their casting, but in their backgrounds.
Right. That's all I've got up top. Do you have anything that you wanted to?
I don't think so.
Let's jump right in. We'll start with some basic movie information. This is a Japanese language original.
Get out of here.
It has a scant 87-minute runtime, and it was originally titled Gojira Ibira Mosra Nankai no Daigetto, which translates to Godzilla, Ebirah, Mothra, Big Duel in the South Seas. I love Big Duel in the South Seas.
Big Duel in the South Seas. Yeah, that's like, was it Rumble in the Jungle? That's pretty cool. Yeah, that works.
This is a swashbuckling title.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
In the movie itself.
Yeah, definitely. So it stars the returning Akira Takarada.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope we like his character in this film a bit more than the deplorable Fuji.
But do you not think it's getting to a point of diminishing returns?
If
I was to see him as the lead actor in the next movie, I would probably be a bit like, come on.
You know what? I wish I could agree with you there, but I liked his character this time around a lot more. You're just getting tired of seeing him.
Precisely.
I believe, I don't know for sure, just from the bits I've seen in researching every week or every episode, that Takarada's around for a long time. We're going to see a lot of this man. And I think his career might be very Godzilla-centric.
Sure.
But
he's found his paycheck and he's riding it.
Yeah, but then again, that's that's only from what I've gathered very loosely so far. So maybe there's many, many more layers to that. It also stars Kumi Mizuno, who's Miss Namikawa.
Who's Miss Namikawa? Absolutely. So she was the love interest of Glenn, right?
Yes.
She was Glove's Glenn, and she got vaporized.
Yes, but luckily there were millions of other Namikawas out there.
But this one figured out love.
Yeah, she was the one who felt love. I was very happy to see her again.
I'm very happy to see her again. Certainly hasn't overstayed her welcome. And she does really well in this movie, because after these two, Kira and, what's the lady's name?
Kumi Mizuno.
So after Kira and Kumi, these next bunch of actors, these predominantly men, are pretty, I don't know, I kind of feel like it's watching some very unsuccessful people somehow get a good job. I don't know. Not quite sure they're made for the movies.
I have some thoughts on our ostensible main character. And his
I know
his acting. And also, it's a very masculine sort of first half of the movie.
Incredibly.
It's the boys.
Mothra makes up like half of the female cast.
I know.
I tell you one thing, we are going to see the return of our famous doctor from the creator of the oxygen bomb, was it?
Oh my, yes. So, yeah, man, he's back.
He's back.
And he's wearing an eye patch again. I wonder if that's in his contract. Must wear eye patch.
Pretty elaborate eye patch. But this time he's evil.
Loved the stitching, yeah.
This time he's evil. And was he not also the doctor, the scientist who said, someone got electrocuted in Switzerland once, and now he's a Barry. So everyone could be. He might be that character as well.
Maybe.
Who we kind of fell in love with for being the greatest scientist that was ever created.
The greatest scientist in the scientific community.
That's
yes.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we are totally derailed. Other cast members: Akihiko Hirata, Jun Tazaki, and Yuko and Yoko Okada, working under the stage name Pear Bambi as Mothra's new Shobijin.
That's right, we got some fresh Shobijin.
It also...
Did you look into that? I was compelled to look into what happened to the peanuts or the popcorn?
The peanuts.
Peanuts, I think, yeah.
The popcorn...
You can see
the popcorn. They did show up in a few of the spinoffs later in the series, but we haven't met the popcorn yet. Go on. What did you find out about the peanuts?
I tried to just simple Google search, like, why did the peanuts retire from the Shibojin role, or what happened to them? And it doesn't quite align, but they do retire pretty early as an entertainment, as a acting and music duo. But I feel like it's later than this movie, perhaps around 1970, 75. Turns out one of them marries, I want to say, a famous Japanese TV personality or actor, and she didn't want to take away from his career. They just moved out of the limelight. Good closure for the peanut.
For sure. Sad to see them go, but yeah, happy ending. And Pear Bambi are fine?
Yep, absolutely. They take the role on with the kind of respect, solemnity that it deserves.
This film also stars Haruo Nakajima as Godzilla and Hiroshi Sekita as the titular Ebirah. It's directed by Jun Fukuda. Remember, this is our first non-Honda directed entry since Godzilla Raids Again. It is from a screenplay by Shinichi Sekizawa, so he's still here. And special effects by... So I believe Eiji Tsuburaya is credited as special effects director, but I think that's in name only. But it's his protege, And I think this is one of several proteges because I've seen a few different names, and we will see a few different names following on in this role.
Sure.
But this time it's Sadamasa Arikawa who took point. This film had an initial release date of December 17th, 1966, making this the latest in a string of Yuletide Toho releases. Do we think 60s Japan just liked a good monster movie at Christmas time, or?
I guess so. Like, and that's. I mean, it was a thing when I was a kid. Was you go to the pictures when it was Christmas and like Batman Returns and Nightmare Before Christmas. I guess the odd thing there is I've just named two movies that look like winter. Whereas this movie looks like summer. It's it's an odd color palette for a Christmas movie.
Maybe it helped thaw people out a little bit.
Yeah, swinging 60s as well, right?
Boy, is this a groovy movie.
Absolutely.
According to Turner Classic Movies, the budget was a mere $1.2 million US, and that's about $3 million less than our previous entry, Invasion of Astro Monster. And I believe they were already sort of cutting costs on Astro Monster. This made 330 million yen in rentals. Again, that damn nebulous term we keep coming to each week. And Sam, I'm prepared to summarize that as Toho put a certain amount of money into the Godzilla pachinko machine, and a decent amount came back up afterward. This, I can say, was way more successful than Astro Monster financially, thanks in large part to the reduced budget.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so now some more esoteric trivia.
Please.
Because this script started out as a King Kong picture, there are many trace elements of the ape that were held over, including Godzilla's fascination. You alluded to this earlier. Godzilla has a fascination with a certain female character, and also in the use of electricity to wake the big green meanie from his slumber.
That's right.
Mid-film. Because Toho had a newer and less experienced special effects director on this project, the higher-ups restricted the effects budget. One of their demands was to avoid expensive composite shots, which Arikawa mostly did, although a few remained in the film. On this tightening of the Monster Mash purse strings, Arikawa had this to say: Toho couldn't have made too many demands about the budget if Mr. Tsuburaya had been in charge.
Oh, really?
I was also doing TV work then, so they must have figured I could produce the movie cheaply. Was this lower budget noticeable to you, Sam?
When it comes to the special effects, not really. It's, I mean, you could rattle off the typical stuff you're going to see. You're going to see, planes arrive, shoot their missiles. You're going to see Godzilla give off his breath. You're going to see a lot of water action. You're going to see miniatures. You're going to see Godzilla destroy miniatures. It's hard to think, what other kind of major-ish special effects were in previous movies. I mean, those miniature sets would have been much faster in their size and scope, but, sometimes you don't need all of that, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it retains the special cheap charm that many of the other entries have. Yeah. And I don't know, a lot can be masked by the simpler setting that they've done, or that they've gone for here. The island setting, all the water, as you mentioned. Yeah. Jun Fukuda, the director, was apparently not a fan of this or almost any film he made in his pretty substantial career. He was quoted in an interview with film historian Stuart Galbraith as saying, Toho sent me a copy of the VHS tape edition of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster when it was released, and that is an American title that was sort of tacked on to a made-for-TV version. It was like opening up an old wound. I didn't watch the tape. I mean, as mentioned, this guy seems pretty sour on a lot of his career. He directed 50 films, quite a few of them kaiju films. He did a James Bond spoof called 100 Shot, 100 Killed.
Well, that's pretty coincidental.
That was also starring Akira Takarada.
No doubt.
He did a teen comedy series called The Young Guy Movies and many more. Yeah. Yet he was a product of the studio system, so he was assigned most of these movies. Yeah, he could have felt that a lot of his work was hamstrung and restrictive. Further, regarding the Big G specifically, he sort of felt as if the first Godzilla film should have been a one-off.
There you go. He is grouchy. Yeah. It does, I guess it kind of speaks to, in the music world, it would have been Motown or Nashville, where it's like, all right, we have this cookie cutter formula. We just need a producer who's going to do it for us. Is it Fukuda?
Yeah, Fukuda.
It seems like he was the guy. He's not Willie Nelson making music in a ranch in Texas.
Yeah, and we ourselves have put the first film in its own category.
That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah. Maybe there's a universe where there was only one Godzilla movie and then, 60 Godzuki movies.
And then a King Kong cartoon on the Saturday.
And a King Kong cartoon on Saturday mornings. That's still running today.
Yes, exactly.
While we're still on Fukuda, one of the creative decisions he brought to the table here was to bring in Masaru Sato to score his film, hoping to bring a different touch from Ishiro Honda's, who often collaborated with composer Akira Ifukube. How did you feel about the music here, Sam? Was it noticeably different to you?
I did go back to watch the intro credits just to kind of recall them, because all the previous two movies, Ghidorah and Invasion of Astro Monster, it's been really easy to recall the kind of intro credits and music, and I couldn't for this one. It was pretty bang average.
Yeah, the opening credits did not do anything for me, but I can say that all of the twangy surfer rock music that we got, especially during the monster fights, that definitely brought a different vibe to things.
So I can recall that in the kind of early part of the movie when we're kind of introduced to our main characters, but I can't honestly recall it with the fights. The fights are good, but the music doesn't necessarily stand out.
I gotcha. Yeah. There's I believe it's the second fight when Godzilla kind of wades into the ocean to go toe-to-toe with Ebirah. We get, rather than a plodding bum, 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 anything big like that, an instrumental.
The Beach Boys.
It is instrumental, but it's a guitar just going It's exactly that. So I don't know. I liked that kind of difference. That was interesting to me.
It's a really evocative sound for TV, because I feel that there's a lot of TV shows that would have used it, similar ones, but the couple of TV shows that kind of came to my mind were Happy Days and the Batman, the 60s Batman.
Yes, it did feel like the 60s Batman series. Absolutely.
It's not what makes this movie kind of interesting, but that was definitely an interesting sound. You would grow up at our age watching Saturday TV and you would hear that kind of music all the time and see the kind of fashion that we're going to see in this movie.
For sure. This, I guess, in a way, is the most 60s of the 60s Godzilla films we've watched so far. I don't know. Astro Monster, the space stuff was pretty 60s too.
Yeah.
Different flavor of 60s.
Yeah, the benefit this movie has is with Astro Monster, the characters are very serious people who live in a serious world for the most part. And this time around, we have some pretty kind of offbeat characters as our narrative leaders.
Oh, yeah. So our man in the suit, Haruo Nakajima, he had some really enlightening things to say about working in the water, Sam. He gave an interview in July 2008 with Brett Homnick and August Ragone. I'm so sorry if I got your name wrong. And in it, he spoke about working underwater generally during his career. So this definitely applies to this movie, but keep in mind, it's also more of a blanket statement about working in the water. And any specific film he's referring to here isn't explicitly stated, either due to the translation or his advanced age at the time of the interview. Also, this is a fascinating interview, and I think we'll be drawing from it in future episodes. So if anyone wants to check it out, you can find it on vantagepointinterviews.com. So he said regarding filming in water, generally, in the summer, everybody wants to go in the pool and play. But when it comes to kaiju movies, it is totally different. Most of the scenes that they shoot in water are not in the summer, but in the winter. In the middle of winter, shooting started at 9 in the morning, going until noon, and then we'd take an hour off, but we'd go from 1 p.m. until around 5 at night. I needed to stay in the water all day in the suit, and shooting took a week. For a whole week, we had been shooting like this in the middle of winter in the water from early morning to evening. There was a tea plantation where we were making the film, and the camera was in the tea plantation. While I was going through the water, I could see the camera far away. On the right side of the camera, I could see the director and some of the staff members. Of course, they were warming themselves with a small stove. The place around me was surrounded by a thick ice whose width was around 1 centimeter. Wow. I was the only one sitting in the water all day and all evening.
Did he lose the use of his legs?
I don't think so.
That sounds like it's... Honestly, what would you rather do? So you can either be the man there who is Ghidorah, who is hunched over all fucking day. You know your back is going to be obliterated at the end of a shift. Or you have to spend, 5 days in a row, or 7 days, 5 or 7 days in a row. And what is he doing? He's doing eight hours a day.
Water.
So you're talking, what's that, 40 to 56 hours in icy waters. Which one would you rather?
In that suit.
Precisely. In a massive kaiju suit. That, again, it does sound like some ancient Greek torture thing. Like Sisyphus had to push the rock up.
It's not enviable, but so much great art came out of it. So I'm so sorry for these.
That's what this movie should have been called. Ebirah, Art is Pain.
Art is pain. Wikipedia states that Nakajima wore a wetsuit while filming this movie, and that many of the underwater scenes were shot in a tank. It was also released in winter, which makes me think that filming for this entry, at least, took place during the summer or spring. But regardless...
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good sir. Let's get some goofy alternate international titles up in here.
We need some kind of sound effect to just pop in. Watang.
Yeah.
Someone go Watang.
Watang! Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we can just do it for ourselves this time, but yeah, maybe we'll get some kind of Watang sound effect sting for later. In the UK, Ebirah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the UK.
We're going home.
I know. How's it feel?
This year, 1966, that's when England won the World Cup. This is an incredible year for...
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, this year, if you grew up.
Well, in the UK in 1966... Ebirah, Terror of the Deep. It's not really ridiculous. I just wanted to give your homeland a shout out.
No, that's fine. And I like the name. It's a rock solid title in English. The Japanese one is, what was it, in the South Seas?
Jewel in the South Seas.
Jewel in the South Seas. It's hard to top that, but
they really only changed a single word. In Spain, it was called The Monsters from the Sea. Also in Spain, an 8mm title was When the Monsters Awake.
Spain, you're not trying very hard. I'm sorry.
The Japanese 8mm title was Monster Number 1 Godzilla.
Wasn't that his name? Yeah. Was that what you were teaching me a week or two ago?
Mm-hmm. Greece called it Ebirah, Horror from the Bottom.
That's the current front runner for sure. That is something that I'm going to take with me on a private level for the rest of my life.
It's a little puerile. It's a little juvenile. Definitely needed to be here. Western Germany, they're at it again with Frankenstein and the Monsters from the Ocean.
Okay, they didn't quite get the memo.
Who is Frankenstein? How does he enter into these?
I guess they didn't get the memo about the kind of whole conceit of Frankenstein never really happening in Toho. Oh, well.
Yeah. He was in that one movie. He was in one movie, Frankenstein Conquers the World. Toho.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think they just took that and ran. Okay, well, Netherlands is taking a run for the Universal Monster movie reference Throne with Mothra, the Flying Dracula Monster.
That's a great title.
That's a great title.
Not quite relevant, but...
It's referring to about 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Sorry, was it Mothra Dracula?
Mothra, the Flying Dracula Monster.
The Flying Dracula. No, it's a good series of words to say in a row, but...
So Argentina called this one the Island of the Red Bamboos.
Well done,
Now, yeah, and consider no one who has not seen the movie yet knows what the fuck that means.
That is very true, but well done, because this movie's more about them than it is Ebirah.
That's true. Lebanon called this Return of Gorgo.
I kind of wish that movie got made and it wasn't this one, so I could see what it was. You know what I mean?
Who Gorgo is?
Yeah.
Where he's returning from.
Exactly, yeah. So I think there's a lot of potential in a name like that. Right on. I'm going to give it to Greece, as puerile as it is. I am definitely going to be using those words outside of this medium.
Horror from the bottom.
Horror from the bottom.
All right, Greece. Well done. I've got a very, very short note regarding the American version this time, Sam. There was no theatrical release in the United States.
Okay.
It was released straight to television by a company called the Walter Reed Organization in 1968, titled at the time Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster.
Well, they got a blessing on their TV. They didn't have to go out.
No, that's true. And I guess we also have our answer from the last episode where we were wondering whether distributors were fighting amongst one another for a chance at these movies, that answer seems to be a pretty definitive nope.
No, yeah, that is interesting. Because the last one didn't do too hot, right? I can't remember what happened. It was one of those dual screen.
It was left to languish on a shelf
for like 3 years
at
or
the
something.
Distributor.
Yeah, what goes up must come down. I'm sure Godzilla will rise again when it comes to American audiences.
Yeah, he'll have his day. All right, that's all my trivia. So I guess it's time to talk about the movie in earnest. I would like to hear an elevator pitch.
Took some time working on this one. Might be a bit cruder than my usual ones.
I'm excited.
But imagine the beautiful love child of Robinson Crusoe meets James Bond. Yep. And then raised by a beautiful Toho studio. You might just end up with something like Ebirah, horror from the deep.
Wow. Ding. That's a lot of... Those are a lot of franchises or stories that might on the surface be at odds with one another. But what a package. Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. Can you hear those seagulls, Sam? The crashing waves? Can you feel the scorching sun? It's our opening credits, and this time they're just a deep red sky at sunset.
Some yellow font.
Yeah, yellow font. That's kind of cool. They're set to, it's a very warm title sequence. They're set to music that's, I guess, a little exotic, a little adventurous.
It's continuing to be mildly triumphant, but yeah.
It's a little New Frontiersy, I guess. We open on an island on the oceanside home of a shaman who has her mat set up on the sand. And that's in front of her wooden home. I'm tempted to call it a shack. It's a pretty small home. Some of those like piles of stacked rocks that you can see at Buddhist temples. A woman is visiting this shaman. They're both on their knees facing one another. And we soon learn through dialogue that the woman visiting is named Mrs. Kane. And she's recently lost her son Yata on a fishing expedition.
She's having a hard time coming to terms with the loss of her son.
Yeah, exactly. Never like to see a parent grieving the loss of a child. But slight good news here. Even though the boat has sunk, the shaman tells her that her son isn't in the land of the dead, no matter how hard she looks there. Then two men approach. One of them is the foreman of the fishing company, who tells Mrs. Kane that, sorry, your son is dead. Pieces of the boat were found after the storm. There's no way he survived.
Need to give this up. It's been what, 3 weeks, I want to say?
Yeah.
Something like that. But each time she goes, and each time she speaks to the shaman, she tells her the same story. He's not there.
Right.
He's not in the land of the dead.
Right. And this time is no different. Mrs. Kane won't be swayed. She sent her son Ryota to the government to keep searching. I believe it just says the government.
And he is a country boy.
Hot dog, is he a country boy, Sam? We cut to Ryota, and he is speaking to maybe a policeman or just...
Seems like...
Okay. All right, yeah. It's some kind of authority figure, but yeah, probably a policeman in a government building of some sort. And
so he is living up to his word. He has gone to speak to the government.
Yeah. I'm taking this to the government, right? Straight to the top.
You there, government man, answer my questions.
So this government man blows him off and says, why don't you find someone with a boat? And then we jump to the offices of a newspaper. And I'll admit, this had me sighing already. Like, oh God, we're going to have another main character.
I was there with you. Yeah, because one of the reporters he's kind of lumped with Ryota and doesn't know how to get rid of him, but he wants to tell his story.
So these reporters, when they go in to actually talk to Ryota, they find out he's gone.
Yeah, vanished.
We find out where he's gone very quickly. This is becoming one of my favorite parts of this podcast series, Sam. It's a window into 1960s Japanese culture.
Absolutely. It's cool.
We are suddenly at a swingin' 60s beach music-fueled marathon dance competition.
That's right. Dance till you drop.
Yes, this is meant to test the endurance of today's youth. quote unquote. 300 teens and young adults started dancing 3 days ago, and we're now down.
That is wild. I was about to double check you. Was like, do they actually say they've been dancing for 3 days? Because this is very swinging 60s beat rock, and like they're shaking their hips. They're doing the twisting motion that you can think of from 60s kind of TV and dance.
Exactly.
So I'm like, if you've been doing that for,
3 days.
3 days, regardless of how they've kind of divided up those shifts, you've done well there.
Oh, yeah. And we're down to our final 15 competitors.
That's right. There's still plenty of people in this race.
Right.
Hell of a prize, though. I must admit, I was thinking, you know what, if you somehow manage to get through that dance-off, you've got yourself an incredible prize. This huge, yacht.
It is it is a luxury sailing yacht. That is the first prize for this competition.
Not easy to come by. If you can afford to maintain that, you have done very well.
Oh, yeah. So our final 15 competitors, they're still looking young and attractive, if a bit sweaty, and they're all dressed in these bright colored polo shirts.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Dresses.
Very vibrant colors.
Yeah, that's one thing I really liked about this movie is all the popping colors.
It is incredibly vibrant. Yeah. Very, and it's primary colors.
Yeah.
Secondary colors. It's as single colors.
For sure.
Anyhow, yeah.
I'm wondering at this point what movie we're watching for a few seconds, but we soon find out that that first prize is the sailing yacht. We see Ryota enter the community center or the dance hall or wherever this is being held, and he sort of looks at the model of the prize longingly, like, if I could only just get this boat. He's here just a smidge too late, though.
Yeah.
He's 3 days late. He asks 2 contestants who have just dropped to the floor, tired from dancing, can I still enter the contest? And
can I join?
Yeah, they tell them that no. Then there's a hilarious close-up on his face as he loudly declares, but I have to have a boat. I know that the U.S. did this too, but I've never seen one depicted, and it's so hard to imagine the logistics to one of these dance contests.
Yeah, absolutely. That and the other one I can kind of think of, and again, it seems to be an American thing of just having your hand on a car for as long as possible.
Having your hand on a car?
You'd have a horde of people just standing around a car, each with their hand placed upon it, and the
last person touching it wins the car?
Yeah, wins the car.
I've never heard of this contest.
Oh, okay. Well,
what?
I feel like I've heard about it a few times.
Wow.
It's typically in kind of American.
How long did those
balls.
go?
I couldn't tell you, but awfully long.
Wow.
You imagine it becomes pretty acrimonious towards the end, right?
For sure.
Because
are you allowed?
If you've been there. I don't know.
Are you allowed to?
I don't know. But if you're down to the final 2 people and you've been there that long, and the energy and just the sapping all of your life force, you probably become nasty.
Oh, for sure. I'm wondering if you're allowed to, mess with the other contestants.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyhow.
Okay. So smash cut.
He wants to see a boat. Right. Yeah. Smash cut indeed. This movie is just taking left turn after left turn after left.
I know. And you know what? The dance contest scene is totally unnecessary. It has no bearing to this. Because, he meets these 2 guys.
Yep.
And he communicates that he needs a boat.
Yep.
But this could have happened anywhere else. But it's the swinging 60s, so,
Swinging 60s.
Yeah.
And we've basically met 50% of our main cast, right?
Yeah. So smash cut to him riding in a convertible with those 2 same contestants who just dropped out. They're these sort of sporty, preppy, university students.
Absolutely. It's interesting because they come across as, just dancers to begin with and energetic, but they do seem, as we're about to learn, a bit not untraditional, but they don't play by the rules.
No, they don't. I also found them to be, and maybe this is just my propensity to side with people that I find endearing, or maybe a little, in this case, I hope this isn't reductive to say, but pitiable.
Sure.
I felt bad for Ryota, and I felt like these 2 kind of looked on him a little judgmentally. They looked down on him a little bit for being from the country.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And you can see it in the way they're presented.
Yeah.
And, Ryota is this very by the book, kind of almost naive.
They're like frat bros.
Yeah, and they're frat bros. So these frat bros have found this gullible, naive
country boy.
Yeah, suggestible young man, and they're enjoying some time.
And they are taking him via their convertible to a nearby harbor. Ryota asks, they go to this nearby port, and they show him a bunch of yachts, and what I imagine to be like nice personal vessels. I don't really know. I'm not very smart with boats. I'm not a vessel head. Are you a vessel head? Do you know?
Not so. I see them a lot more now because of where I live in Canada, but no, I have no understanding of boats.
Okay, good. So you, me, and Ryota are all in the same boat.
Oh.
He asks if these two fellas own all of the boats here.
Wow, isn't he so nice?
Very naive. And they sort of look at each other like, wow, this dude is nuts. The atmosphere here it's very much of, looking down on Ryota as like poor or uncivilized, or at the very least, just an oddity.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine why the screenplay would depict Ryota as so naive. I know he wants to rescue his brother, but maybe they were going for a more slapsticky sort of vibe with him, but it doesn't come across very well.
No, it doesn't. And I honestly will meet his brother later, and I'm like, wow, you guys are pretty
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, his brother's a whole kind of a different level even.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, these three lads, they decide to just trespass on one of the nicer boats docked here. And they're poking around, opening cabinets and checking out food in one of the cabins. And they're hitting panels and they're picking through the owner's clothes and wondering aloud what kind of owner would have a boat like this, when a voice from the back of the cabin says something like, "This kind of owner." And a man in his mid-30s, played by Akira Takarada, pops up from a bunk holding a kind of short one-handed rifle.
Yeah.
His name this time around, his character's name is Yoshimura, but we don't find that out just yet. We learn it a little later. Anyway, Yoshimura calls them out for trespassing, breaking and entering, and attempted burglary, but they try to sort of explain it away with, "Oh, we were just curious."
So at this point in the movie, I was baffled.
Yep.
Because, you have this odd scenario where Akira Takarada showed up and he's got a rifle and he's about to call these guys out and say, "You're trespassing," while pointing a rifle at them. And then he, as I'm sure you're about to explain, he says, "All right, fellas, don't worry about it. Why don't we all just sleep on it? You're welcome to spend the night on my boat."
Yep.
And I believed it was his boat.
Me too.
I was like, okay, this is the boat owner that is talking to us. So I was like, this is a bizarre movie with just the way we've met our characters, and now they're on a boat and the owners.
It's people doing sort of inexplicable things.
Row after row, because
Yes.
you would very much want to get rid of these trespassers from your boat. But, anyhow, we need these people to unite, and this is
the best way we could conjure a way for them to get these four people on a boat.
Yeah, you are trespassing, and I am pointing a gun at you, but all right, feel free to spend the night.
Yeah. So when he does sit up, the preppy boys, they point at Ryota and they say, "This country boy just wanted to see some of the boats. He's a maniac," which I drew a little umbrage with, but also just thought it was a really funny line.
It's a good line, yeah.
Yeah, they apologize, and the owner, as you've sort of summarized here, he weirdly and randomly says, "All right, yep, you can stay. Just be gone by morning."
That's it. Wow, trusting people in Japan.
Very much. And these three boys then become knuckleheads, essentially. They all bow down in unison.
That's right.
Which causes Yoshimura to snap at them, "Idiots, don't shout." And yeah, it's a very silly scene. As you've pointed out, it's scored by this plucky, lighthearted music to let us know that we're probably not in any real danger here with the gun involved.
Right.
It's also a huge cue that we're back in Kong vs. Godzilla territory tonally. In the morning, Yoshimura wakes up and he finds that his rifle is missing. And so he walks into the main cabin where the three boys have kept for the night, but only the uni bros are there. And he starts whacking them around with a pillow, demanding to know where it is. That's when Ryota comes into frame and he asks if it was a toy gun, which it was, though, we as an audience...
I was pretty brought into the fact it was a gun.
Same. I thought it was a gun too. We both, I think, took that whole introduction on the boat at face value. And
yes, we did.
Very much that is not what we were meant to. Ryota asks if the gun was a toy because it seemed like it. He said it broke apart in his hands. And here again, he's written and played as kind of a slow country bumpkin type character.
Yeah.
His delivery is slow as well.
It's a combination of Forrest Gump and who's the large one from Of Mice and Men? George? Not in appearance.
Is it George?
But
Yeah, it's George because Lenny's the...
George.
Okay, yeah.
Not so much in appearance because he's more Lenny's size, but
Yeah.
just, this kind of unstoppable force of simplicity or single-mindedness.
Yeah, that's spot on. So Yoshimura starts pushing them all out of the cabin and up onto deck. He's, I guess, very flustered by this point and frustrated with them. He pushes them up onto deck only to find that they are at sea.
Mm-hmm.
Ryota has secretly set them sailing in the middle of the night so that he can find his brother, calling this set of circumstances a gift from the gods. All three of the others justifiably freak out, with the owner of the boat, Yoshimura, wanting him to reverse course immediately. But Ryota, and I may have been misreading this at the time, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Ryota calls out Yoshimura, who, again, we still think is the owner of the boat, as not actually knowing anything about boats and refuses to turn back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I I had a lot of respect for Ryota for doing this. I was like, you came out with a plan and...
made it happen.
And yeah, everyone's laughing at you, but you're the one whose plan is actually happening. This is a brief moment where it's like, Ryota, good for you, mate.
Yeah, man. Our next shot is in the cabin where we get some much needed explanation from the radio. It's a local news report saying a yacht called the Yalin, owned by an American, maybe it was Glenn, was stolen from Hayama Harbor. We also learn, I don't know how realistic this is for the radio to announce, but, we're forgiving a lot here. But we learned that it had just been provisioned for a Pacific Ocean crossing.
Yeah, it was like for a race. Yeah, we got plenty to eat.
Mm-hmm. The two Unibros make eye contact, since now we know that the man they assumed was the owner, Yoshimura, is likely a criminal, and a serious one based on the rifle. And in the following news report, so these are back-to-back crimes being reported on. The following news report states that 4 million yen was stolen from a trading company office, and putting two and two together, we now know who is on board with our three boys. The Unibros point at the briefcase that Yoshimura's been making a lot of and keeping next to him the entire time, and they ask him what's inside, and he says, just don't touch it.
He still somehow is able to provoke intimidation in these two frat boys, because at this point I was like, if you figured him out, a pair of you could overpower this fella, you could take control of this situation, but no, he's still powerful enough to kind of scare them.
Yeah, I know. Through, I guess, sheer
age, maybe. He is in himself, he is bigger than them, but I think it's age.
2v1, even 3v1 with Ryota, they could have solved this situation if they were actually afraid of Yoshimura.
And they are just simple frat boys, whereas, even if it wasn't a real gun, they appreciate this man has the balls to kind of try to convince people he would use one. So he's clearly capable of violence.
For sure. So we next get a few wide shots of the boat sailing along in the sea. We can surmise that time is definitely passing, whether that's hours or days. We don't really know.
We're seeing them go for a lot of food, right? We're seeing empty tins.
Yes, that is how the movie kind of... They show us this montage. We understand that time
clothes are a bit ragged.
Passed. We see them eat a meal together, and when Ryota is asked if he will sail them back to land, he refuses. We get more montage of them just passing the time. We get a scene of Yoshimura carving a skeleton key and telling...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and he tells the bros that if they cooperate with Maniac Ryota, they should eventually be able to learn enough about the boat to sail themselves back home, which is not a bad plan.
That's it.
They're interrupted by Ryota coming into the cabin and saying there are strange clouds ahead. And they are strange. They're black. They're huge. They roll. They soon block out the sun. And they also portend a massive storm that soon overtakes them. There's lightning. There's huge waves. It knocks a model of the boat around. The whole shebang. Yoshimura's briefcase gets knocked open in the squall, and all the money gets ruined.
Oh, that's right. The water gets into the cabin.
Yep.
So you just see it kind of slopping around.
Yep. The mast snaps in two, and then out in the stormy shadows, we see a massive silhouetted claw loom in the distance. And this, I thought, was so badass.
Yeah, we're not necessarily having an interaction with Ebirah. It's that composite image of I don't know how you describe it, where you have like some film footage behind some other. So
I think that's exactly how you describe it in composite.
Yeah, and that's the best way always to give off the magnitude of these kaijus, because when you have them interacting with each other, they shrink.
Yeah.
So it's really with the storm going on and this huge claw arriving, you really understand.
It sells it so well, especially because it's dark, because it's stormy.
Yep.
That masks a lot of the like limits of the technology at the time.
Yeah.
So you have this massive shadow in the back and this tiny boat in the foreground. It looks amazing. I don't know that we've seen a kaiju's scale communicated quite as well as this before.
Yeah, that's exactly the way to describe it, scale.
I thought it was just a superb introduction to our new crusty friend. The claw then crashes into the sea next to their boat and flings them up again and launches the boat into the air.
Okay.
Our next shot is daytime, and we are introduced to Lecce Island. And that is the primary setting for this film. We see some wreckage from the Yalin, as well as our 4 soggy life jacket wearing men strewn along a rocky beach below some imposing looking cliffs. This was some fun like outdoor shots. After Astro Monster, it's great to be back in fresh air.
Absolutely, and you get a lot of it in this movie. Yeah, you're right. It's nice to have wide open spaces and depth.
Yeah,
for sure.
They all 4 wake up, and it's frankly astounding they've all survived.
Certainly
all
have.
In one piece. Nobody's injured.
Don't think about it too much.
Don't think about it. Keep moving on. They decide to try climbing the cliffs to reach the island proper. Yoshimura also finds half of the briefcase. I believe it sort of floats past him, and he has a little tantrum.
I think he picks it up on the rocks, and he just launches it on the ground as the others are walking away from him. Yeah.
One of the bros asks what was in the briefcase. Again, how have they not put this all together?
Oh, good lord, yes.
Or they're just like willfully not admitting to themselves that they're with a criminal.
They're just twisting the knife. He's like, we know exactly what's in there, but I'm going to ask you to remind you what you've lost.
Yeah, maybe it's that angle, If they're ignoring it, it's almost charming how willfully they've done so. They climb up the cliff together, the 4 of them, and we're shown the requisite kind of rocks sliding down the mountain as they make their way up to make it look, more precarious. At the top of the cliff, there is a sword.
Okay, so this to me reminded me of playing a video game.
Yeah, like Myst.
A point and click adventure thing where it's just like, all right, and here's a sword apparently. Because and you just add it to your inventory because that's how these games work.
And it's added to their inventory. It does not leave their
does not leave.
Side.
Yeah. And this isn't just like a typical
it's
sword.
A saber.
It does have a bit. It's a saber, has a bit of design to it. And I must admit, once I saw that, I was like, okay, so maybe when games do this, it is pretty stupid because this is pretty darn ludicrous. And of course, there's just a random sword atop here, and it's like, what's it called? Like Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's sword,
Chekhov's sword, exactly. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to do, Fukado, whoever wrote this piece. You are not worried.
When one of the Unibros puts his hand on it, he yells, "Cannibals!"
Yeah, that's a connection.
Knows like sabers at the top of Pacific Island cliffs imply just that, cannibals.
Cannibals. And there was my first reaction was that is a ludicrous reaction, but at the same time, it's like it must have come from somewhere. But perhaps just like them, it floated ashore and somehow landed on top of that.
It climbed its way up to the top of the cliff.
Yeah, precisely.
They then find a grove of palm trees and they gorge out on some bananas. They quite literally have a pile of peels between the 4 of them, like an enormous pile of banana peels.
Yeah.
Yoshimura agrees that the presence of the saber might mean we have cannibals on our hands. They're really
so. So what I think is going on here, if you put these 3 ingredients together, got off this island, which is actually really kind of rocky and kind of unwelcome.
Yep.
We found a cannibal sword, we found palm trees, and we found banana.
Yep.
Like, although this island looks like it's cold and craggy, we are very much being told that this is a tropical paradise in the South Seas, right? Like, we need to let you know that this is an exotic place. Because when you look at it, you're like, no, that's a pretty cold and unforgiving environment I'm looking out there.
Yeah.
And this is the thing we haven't really just registered here is like this is, I mean, we do have some others to come in, like Dayu, but this is our cast, and for the first time, but we have a crook, a villain, anti-hero who's kind of the leader of the bunch-ish. This Forrest Gump type character, and then these two frat boys. We haven't danced this.
None of these archetypes have been,
No archetypes, right? So that's something else about this movie that's pretty novel.
Yeah, it's refreshing. And we also see in this scene that as they're talking about, cannibals and sort of getting recharged on their banana horde, we see Yoshimura sort of like elbowing the younger kids in this scene, and we get the sense that he's slowly becoming kind of a roguish role model to them.
Yeah.
They then start marching along the island, and as they do so, they spot a boat down below.
Right.
They're up on the cliffs, but they spot a boat down below that is heading toward the island, and it is, as it comes, it's emitting a yellow gas or liquid that's sort of trailing in the water behind it. I think it's both a gas and a liquid.
Yeah, it's a very uranium yellow, so it's not a nice yellow. It's, you were to have this
more of those popping colors.
Yeah, precisely, popping colors, but it's not a yellow you would ever want sprayed on you.
No,
the ship is a pretty modern looking craft. It very much looks like a toy you would have in the bathtub as a young person.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, minus the spraying stuff, but yeah,
right.
It's a toy.
Thinking this is their ticket off the island, they start yelling down toward it, and they sort of set off to meet it wherever it's going to drop anchor. And soon they arrive at a clearing where they find this kind of facility. There's a dock and a bunch of squat, white, sci-fi adjacent buildings surrounded by chain link fences.
Yeah.
There's electronic equipment and satellite dishes,
right.
and armed guards in uniforms patrolling the perimeter. And these are much wider patrol patterns than the Celgian guards, I might add.
Good callback. I'm going to make a callback to that fairly soon, perhaps. Maybe you already know it. But so we're being told this is not just some desolate, uninhabited island.
Yeah. And there's like a paramilitary group of some kind
which will
doing something.
Yeah. In the shadows, right? In this mysterious island.
Yes, it is definitely a little shady. Yoshimura comments that he thinks something's fishy here as the boat spraying its yellow gas approaches a dock. Some uniformed sailors disembark, and they are met by some soldiers from this base. Their leader, wearing an emblazoned eye patch and played by Akihiko Hirata, that's the scowly scientist from Godzilla 1954, who we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, icon, and fair play to him.
Yeah.
He has a legacy in this franchise way above many others.
For sure. And here his character's name is Captain Yamato. And yeah, it was really nice to see him sporting another eye patch and looking just as scowly. Yeah. If anyone hasn't seen this guy, he's like tall and thin. He sort of reminds me of like a Japanese Adrian Brody.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, the presentation of him and his foot soldiers. Because that's kind of how they're presented. He is very much the leader of this outfit.
Yeah.
And it's a very kind of, paramilitary, almost, I don't know, maybe this is a bit too much. They want you to be recalling, not maybe Nazi, fascist, jackboot style kind of leadership. That kind of villainy, maybe not as, take away all the stuff there, but that kind of design of the hats and the boots and the shirts.
100%. They're not super intimidating, but he is intimidating.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's kind of like, what is it, Shredder and the Foot Clan?
Okay, yeah,
they're all faceless, but he is pretty badass.
Yeah, no, true. They've done a good job characterizing at least him here.
Yeah,
the boat captain, he says they've brought the cargo, and soon a group of indigenous islanders are led out of the boat under guard. The captain also says something called X-13 is being delivered.
Ooh, right. So we have Planet X, X-13. And so I want to say in King Kong Escapes, it's Professor X or something. So X marks the spot. The year 2000 will take that mantle when we approach the 90s, right? But X is definitely villain adjacent, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Meanwhile, a few of these islanders, they make a break for it. And one is shot down by a machine gun turret.
Yeah.
And two others make it to an outrigger boat conveniently left on the shore nearby. They set off,
fleeing,
even as a group of 15 or so soldiers chase after them down the beach.
So what follows here is, I'll allow you to get into it, but some of the finest miniature model work the franchise has seen.
I'm glad you say that because I was astounded at the miniature we're about to see.
The toys are very endearing.
They've leveled up. But before that even, we see a rather attractive lady islander from the group of prisoners. She uses the soldiers as a distraction, as a chance to slip away. And this is Dio. And again, she's played by Kumi Mizuno, who was Miss Namikawa in our last film. She's also sporting a pretty wild spray tan.
Yes, she is, isn't she? It's a bit tasteless, that. But
how else can we communicate she's an indigenous islander?
Precise. Yes.
But it's good to see her, regardless.
Yeah.
The two men in the outrigger, they don't make it too far. And Yoshimura, Ryota, and the Unibros, they watch from a place hidden on the shore as a massive kaiju-sized claw emerges from the sea not too far in front of that outrigger. We're then treated to our first proper look at Ebirah, whose head, upper torso, and giant pincers come out from the water. Someone on shore shrieks, "It's Ebirah!" And the monster slams its giant right claw down on the boat, snatching it up and sending the two men flying.
Yes.
There's a few iffy-looking composite shots during this sequence, one of them being one of the men hanging from Ebirah's claw in front of his face. This looks kind of...
Yeah, it's a bit janky, yep.
But otherwise, it looked fairly convincing.
And the models they've made an effort.
Yeah.
Like, they have genuinely tried to display these men as toys. And it's very
Yeah.
So, and as you say, it's our first good look at Ebirah, and I pretty much straight away was like, all right, Ebirah is a lobster. That's what Ebirah is.
Yes, giant lobster.
Everyone else up until then has been a pretty unique creation, right? Yep. Apart from, the octopus.
Rodan.
Rodan. I mean, even Rodan is at least a dinosaur, right?
True.
To be fair, I don't know how long lobsters have been around. But this one feels like we're just taking more modern-ish animals.
Just blowing them up to kaiju size.
And just blowing them up to kaiju. I guess the octopus was first. That wasn't a kaiju in the rubber suit sense.
Right. We mentioned the miniature work is great here. This isn't actually the one I was thinking of. I think there's one later in the movie that is like...
Oh, there are.
Wow, crazy, but still impressive. The little outrigger boats, very, very detailed.
It's cute.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely more impressive set. This one is cute.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we watched Invasion of Astrospace and they had the Glenn and Fuji as they descend the kind of elevator on the back
Good God.
of the P-90? That's what it's reminiscent of.
10 minutes of our life were devoted to watching that lift go up and down.
Down twice, yeah. So the models, they're toys. Yeah. It's very, very tough.
Yeah, man. So back on the pier, Captain Yamato uses this as a teachable moment, and he tells the prisoners that this is what will happen to them if they try to escape. A giant lobster kaiju will rip you apart. The prisoners are then herded into the facility at gunpoint as Captain Yamato receives a very 1960s style video call from this shady organization's leader. This is a big mustachioed commander sitting in a control room somewhere, and this person orders the captain to send up a search balloon because one of the islanders, that's Dio, has escaped. How he knows this from wherever he is beyond me, but, we're going to shrug our shoulders. We're going to accept it. We're going to move on.
That's right. We're just going to all sleep in the cabin tonight.
Yep. Dio, who is now running through the jungle, runs smack into Ryota and Yoshimura's party, taking a slash at one of them with a knife before running off. They chase her down to the beach where she trips and then surround her and try to clumsily... This is kind of creepy, actually. These four men chasing down an islander lady.
Scantily clad.
Yes, let's not forget that. They chase her down. They surround her on the beach after she's tripped, and they try to clumsily communicate via big hand gestures, slow and loud speech, that they're not with the soldiers from the beach and that they're friends. And then we get the classic reveal that, yes, she speaks the same language as they do. She says, yeah, duh, I get it. You're not with them. They're then covered in the shadow of a search balloon. And seconds later, they're set upon by soldiers. So it didn't take the balloon long to communicate that it had found them. Seconds later.
This is a slick operation.
Yeah, very much so. They flee up an escarpment, scrambling and avoiding getting shot as they zigzag up, looking very much like a Scooby-Doo episode sort of chase scene.
Scooby-Doo is a very good connection. Yeah.
It's silly. It's not very serious at all. They escape by dropping down to a ledge just below the edge of the cliff face before the soldiers arrive and think that they've fallen. It's kind of like Frodo, how he escapes the Nazgul on the road in Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Luckily, this ledge leads to a cave entrance, and they slip inside just as another typhoon is starting to kick up outside.
Right. Yes, those ominous clouds that return so swiftly have arrived once again.
This is maybe 2 out of 3 or 4 storms we're going to get in this movie.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
just blow on in. It's island life, baby.
It is. Jimmy Buffett is.
Okay, so inside the cave, Dio clasps her hands together in supplication and makes a praying gesture looking up. When they question what she's doing, she says it didn't work. Mothra didn't hear her. So, fantastic.
We got mention of Mothra. The other thing I love about this, and I'm pretty sure I talked about it when we first met Mothra, but it's in this world, there is a god, and it's Mothra, and you can communicate with it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sometimes she'll come save your ass.
Yeah, precisely. But I just love that whole conceit of, fuck organized religion. We have Mothra, and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's real.
I'm glad you pointed that out. Yoshimura recognizes the name Mothra and realizes that she and the other prisoners aren't local. They're from Infant Island, which Dio confirms.
That's right. I love that. Again, this world has been built and, the connections have been sort of maintained and spread. They should know about Infant Island. It's a pretty insane place.
There's a skeleton on the beach that, kind of moves sometimes.
That's right. That's when you're not quite sure if it's moving or not.
Yeah. So his eyes go wide, and he asks her if there are any Japanese on Infant Island. And Dio says, yes, actually, there's a man named Yata, a fisherman. And okay, so that should be enough, right? But nope, Ryota continues. Oh, how old is he?
Yeah.
She says he's 23 and he arrived 2 months ago. And then Ryota's reaction, getting exponentially bigger with each line of dialogue, grabs her shoulders and says, that's my brother. I'm sure of it. Take me there immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Ryota.
It's amazing that they made this movie last 86 minutes because they're happy to give you the answer as soon as possible and they don't care what it is. It's like they could have ended this movie straight away. And it's like, we all lived happily ever after.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah.
I buy it.
So Dio points out they can't go to Infant Island just like that, Ryota, because there's a giant lobster outside. Haven't you seen him? His name's Ebirah. She then tells them that the Red Bamboo, and that is the name of the paramilitary group on the beach, they have captured and brought the Infant Islanders here.
Yep. The interesting stuff here is we are understanding that in this realm of kaiju, and you could think about Ghidorah or Rodan, what's his name? Ebirah is nothing but a guard dog.
Yes.
That's all they do. They are not in any way connected to the plight of humans necessarily, unless you get in Ebirah's face. So his body count's going to be pretty low.
It's territorial, right? Like this is.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just its home.
Yep, and then we get the actual name, and I find, and it was Argentina pointed it out, the island of the Red Bamboo. I think that's a pretty cool name. Like, this is the 60s.
Yeah.
I think the red stuff is somewhat misleading, because if you think the red in the 60s, I assume you're kind of pointing towards
Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union, China, Cuba, Korea, whatever. And the bamboo element, you could be like, okay, so we typically, if we're Western anyhow, connotate bamboo with China. So this is a splinter cell of the Chinese Communist Party. But the way they actually are presented in their costumes, I would still argue, is not the traditional way communists would be depicted in a
fascists.
Yeah, like definitely when you watch movies from this era, if they want you to think someone is a fascist, you're going to wear one outfit.
This is it.
And if they want you to think he's a communist, you're going to wear a different outfit. And they definitely have the more fascist-looking outfit. So it's an odd kind of combination of what sounds like a communist Chinese name, but then the outfits are more militaristic, fascist than that you would.
Yeah. It's a very interesting sort of melting pot of villainy that they've.
That's right. If that's what it is.
It is, yeah. It could be
right,
totally unintentional.
Yeah, precisely. Still, I like the name. whatever it is, I like
For sure. And back on the beach, we see the conditions under which the infant islanders are being held by the red bamboo. They're in a cave, they're locked in by bars, and they're being used as slave labor to grind fruit into that same yellow liquid. It's very exaggerated. The kind of workshop. It's in a cave. There's like a giant wheel that they have to like turn, push themselves.
You can imagine people whipping them the bag.
Here's
an interesting thing about this. We know red potion makes King Kong sleep.
Yes.
It's from a red fruit. Now we know that yellow fruit, so yellow potion, keeps Ebirah away.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see where they go with other colored fruits to see what the variety of potions that they're going to create here. It feels very computer gamery.
It is simple in that way, and yes, it's also reusing a concept that was introduced in a previous film. Unfortunate that the infant islanders are being forced to create it. They aren't entirely powerless, though. They're singing their Mothra song, of course, even as Captain Yamato bangs on the prison bars and waves his pistol around, telling them to shut up. Back in the cave, Dio explains that Mothra is asleep right now, but when she hears their prayers, she'll come to their rescue. One of the unibros then cracks that they should get Mothra an alarm clock, which I'll happily admit to laughing at. It's just so childish and stupid and mean.
Sure.
But we then get a classic chant and dance sequence over on a beach at Infant Island, where a large group of islanders are in a semicircle in front of Mothra's massive sleeping form.
This is sensational. Honestly, when you see, because this is not a model of Mothra, I assume it's a painting.
Exactly. It's a matte painting.
That painting, but it's an incredibly well done painting, or the way they filmed it. Like, it's not taking you too far from reality, and it is the best representation of Mothra I've seen artistically, but also on scale.
Yeah.
Because I think Mothra as a model suffers of shrinkage, but this painting, 100%, you would see that as a god. That's a god. Like, you would, their
ritual in front of the painting as well. That just helps communicate that sense. And
it's a great image.
Yeah, as you're hinting at here, maybe this movie is just really on point with scale.
So far, yeah.
It's also quite exciting that Mothra's in her imago state. She is a full-on moth.
That's right. Mothra is evolving.
Yeah, man. We missed the cocoon stage, but
I suppose we did, yeah.
She has grown up from her larva stage that she was in the previous few films. So she's all grown up now, and she's asleep. And we get a glimpse at our new Shobijin. The pair Bambi are present, and they're praying as well. They're singing along with everyone else in their little tropical floral dresses, and they've got wreaths of flowers in their hair. They're just much closer to the ground. There's even a funny shot with two little dolls that are supposed to be the Shobijin.
We get a lot of good toys.
We see them only from behind, these dolls, but they're not convincing in the slightest. And they're on a little pillar so that those characters can be seen kind of in camera with the rest of the infant islanders in a wide shot.
Yeah.
Overall, awesome scene.
Absolutely. And the Shobijin, we kind of said this already, but they don't let themselves down.
No.
They're a good representation of what we come to expect.
Absolutely. And meanwhile, Yoshimura is trying to convince his crew to go spy on the Red Bamboo soldiers so that they can understand what they're dealing with and attack their way out. Dio and Ryota agree, but our Unibros are being tools as usual, and they don't want to risk their necks. They kick some rocks down a shaft in a petulant display of childishness, and as the rocks fall down, they notice that, holy shit, they've been having a chat above a sleeping Godzilla this whole time.
Yeah.
Godzilla, I must say, looks very convincing, lying there slumped over boulders in the cave.
Yeah, the colors match up well, the darkness. You do get that feeling of, ooh, we've stumbled upon Smaug asleep. Yeah. That kind of fear. They do that well, and you know what? Like, last couple Godzilla movies, his entrance have been, here I am, let's get going. And now we're kind of getting a bit of a tease this time.
So we then jump to Lecce Island's surface, where a group of bushes is suspiciously inching its way toward the red bamboo base, even as the grounds are being swept by searchlights. So behind those shrubs are Yoshimura and company. They're armed only with their cannibal saber, and Dio is clutching a white bird for some reason.
So this kind of speaks to the whole feeling of the movie of, this is really serious. Like, we got red bamboo, we've got death with Ebirah, slavery, we got gunfire, the sleeping monster, what have you, like a lot of serious tones. And then I don't know if they're trying to be comical by having this, like, we're moving this hedge along.
They must be.
Right, and the goofiness of the jokes with the alarm clock, but it never lands. Like, I mean, the alarm clock one, yeah, but the moving the hedge along and some other moments, I was like, pick a lane, and do better at that lane. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Sure. No, I totally get it. The bush thing totally threw me off guard. Yoshimura plans to get them in with his skeleton key, and he calms the Unibro's wavering courage by saying they'll fight the soldiers with their brains instead of guns. Dio releases the pigeon, or the dove, or whatever this bird is, to distract the searchlights, and that helps them get the last few yards up to the entrance of the facility. And that's where Yoshimura, he uses his key and gets them in. A quick note that the doors to this top secret base are basically just the same, like, cheap aluminum sliding doors that you might see on, like, a self-storage locker or something. It's not really a great show of security for this paramilitary terrorist group. They then infiltrate the base, opening several different types of gates and doors with Yoshimura's key, and one of the Unibros says, "Safe cracking must be easy, huh?" And Yoshimura responds, "It just seems that way to amateurs."
Yeah.
It's just a very whimsical kind of infiltration.
It is.
They're constantly, like, standing flat against walls, and their bright clothes, very visible as scientists walk by.
As you say, the shirts are very colorful, but also this installation place we're in is also very colorful. The pipes going all around are either red or yellow or blue. The doors have, so it's a very colorful 60s location.
And all of their, like, slinking around, somehow it works, and they find a warehouse full of yellow smoke bombs, which they take. I think we can assume these are X-13 smoke bombs. It's that same yellow.
Yellow, yep.
Dio cutely tries on a black ring of some kind and smiles to herself, but Yoshimura hisses at her, "Dio, we're not shopping here. Come on." Very cringy line.
It is. It's entirely, like, worthless moment as well.
The only thing it does is get her another item for the inventory that we need for later. We get a quick scene where the commander of the base orders a pair of scientists to double production of, we assume, X-13. They don't say double production of what, just double production. And this implies that Red Bamboo might be working for someone else, another kind of organization above them, though we never find out who or
we
what.
Don't, yeah. Kind of like with the chief. So I'm not entirely sure if it's him, but it's definitely someone working for Red Bamboo and one of the scientists.
Mm-hmm.
It might be him, but it's played by the actor who plays the lead assassin in Ghidorah for the Cell-Gear.
Oh.
And you remember the fella, he'd have the whole ruff around his neck when he's in Cell-Gear,
and
then he changes. Yeah, that's him. And I only know that because, before we have these chats, I go on IMDb just to look at the cast, and his image for his name, for everything he's in, is him wearing the Cell-Gear.
Oh, really?
Ruff.
Oh, beautiful. Someone out there has the same appreciation for Celgia.
Yeah, precisely.
We do.
This was your best role. So he's returned with us.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, still sneaking, our group of heroes make their way into a factory where they discover a friggin' nuclear reactor.
That was hilarious because it's a huge, I say huge, but like man-sized safe door that his tiny skeleton key is somehow... Or maybe he's listening. Maybe he's just listening to the tumblers on this one. And eventually he opens it. And you're like, all right, cool. What does this lead to? He walks in and he quickly walks out and closes the door. And he's like, oh, I can't go in there, lads. First of all, kudos for knowing. Like, it must have happened so many times. I was like, oh, not bloody again. That's the second nuclear reactor this week. Like, how does he know it's that to begin with? And the security on this thing is sensational. But yeah, so I guess that's done to say, like, nuclear power is here.
Yeah.
This is relatively early in the days of nuclear nuclear power. So
right. I've noted down that this is where, exactly as you say, one of the Unibros, he sort of justifies his inclusion in the movie. Now, what we learn is that they are science students, or one of them is at least. But
right.
This Unibro in particular points out that this is a heavy water factory.
He does.
That means that Red Bamboo is manufacturing nuclear weaponry. They start crawling around to stay out of line of sight of the scientists and guards. And as they round a corner while they're crawling, Yoshimura finds himself looking at Captain Yamato's boots, who is standing above him with a group of soldiers behind him. So they've been had. Yoshimura turns his back to the soldiers and says, "All right, stand up, everyone. It's over." But really, this crafty devil is pulling out a smoke bomb, and they all toss their bombs at the same time, and then they make a break for it. When next we see them, Yoshimura and one of the bros are crossing the grounds while wearing stolen lab coats, and they're carrying 2 big planks of aluminum behind which are hiding the rest of the group. It, again, is like we're watching a Three Stooges sketch or something. It's that level of like thought behind how they've infiltrated this space.
We're going to the well one too many times. Once was enough with the hedge. We don't need to do this.
Yoshimura accidentally trips an alarm, and then they're scrambling under a hail of gunfire, all in different directions. One of the bros gets captured after tripping. The other bro, Yoshimura, and Dio retreat back to the cave, and Ryota ridiculously gets his foot caught in the rope of a search balloon, which he somehow then sets off into the sky.
Yeah, calm as anything. I think you get another good kind of toy doll moment. But yeah, this is another, all right, let's just give you a balloon and off you go. And he ties himself up to make himself a knot for his foot to rest in, and he's good. All right, off I go. Let's see what this moment takes me.
Bonkers. He just flies off into the distance.
Yeah.
So back in the cave with Godzilla, this movie is a trip sometimes, dude.
Yeah, it really is. And the really odd thing with this one is, other times in other movies, if I'd seen this, I'd be like, this is genius. Oh my God, what an insane idea. But with this one, I'm just like, what are you going on about? What is this?
So back in the cave with Godzilla, Yoshimura's trio, amid their despair, start to hear a noise from down below. It's a deep, rhythmic thrumming. It's Godzilla's heart, and this is a promise that our Big G might be soon waking up.
That's right. So we get to the teasing of Godzilla.
And we then cut to the captured Unibro, who's thrown into the other cave, the prison cave, with the infant islanders. And they ask about Dio, and they sort of catch up with each other. They explain that the yellow substance they're being forced to manufacture for Red Bamboo keeps Ebirah away from their ships. That's an important plot device there. We get another shot of Dio praying back in our Freedom Cave. I'll just call it the Freedom Cave.
Sure.
She's praying, and then we jump to Infant Island, where her people are still singing to Mothra. This time we get some new lyrics to the Mothra song. They are, "Open your eyes to a new day, Mothra," and so on. There are some fun canted angles that make this ritual a little more otherworldly. And then out of the motherfucking sky, Ryota and his balloon drops into the middle of their prayer circle.
Yeah.
His older brother, shirtless and super tanned, Yata, runs up to him. He's taller. He's like of a string bean version of Ryota, but same sort of countryside, simpleton sort of characterization.
It's mean because I don't know how they ever got into the movies. This sounds dreadful. The way they look and the way they act, it sounds mean. But I was like, who wants to watch these fellas?
Even their how they deliver their lines is pretty like slow and thick and heavy.
Thick, quite unbelievable heroes.
Yeah,
sure.
It's unfortunate.
I think that's the power of Tom Hanks is to make Forrest Gump. You're cheering him on, right, as the underdog. You can
root-worthy.
You buy into it. You buy into the fact he could be a Vietnam soldier. But with these guys, you couldn't say boo to a goose. These people.
Yeah. Okay, so Yada runs in. They embrace. It's a happy reunion. Ryota says the Red Bamboo nearly killed him. And when Yada asks who that is, the Shobijin, they show up and simultaneously say that they're from Devil Island, a place from which those who are taken never return. Bum, bum, bum. And at Lechi Island, Devil Island, Yoshimura is debating one of the Unibros who wants to wake Godzilla to help him escape. I actually really enjoyed and appreciated this scene. So the bro trusts Godzilla to save them and put a stop to Red Bamboo's nuclear weapons operation, while Yoshimura thinks that Godzilla will just destroy the world itself or merely kill them all. This argument, it's a simple scene in a simple movie, but it makes an interesting and perhaps unintentional commentary on where the series and character of Godzilla as a whole is right now versus where it started.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very fair point. Because when you were describing the first person's thought that he'll save them, but not necessarily save them on purpose, but work to their benefit. If he was paying attention to the news and seeing what Godzilla has done in the last two instances, then yeah, he's absolutely logical. But if you watch the first couple of movies, you'd be on Akira's side, right? So absolutely, like this is the two sides of the Godzilla coin that we've met. For sure.
Yep. Destroyer and savior.
I think it also speaks to like the idea of Godzilla as a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
In that, some people would have seen it as like, we can use this to our benefit and we can actually change the world in a pretty positive way. Or we could actually just destroy the Earth, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. That analogy still has some weight to it. 7 movies deep and in such cartoonish circumstances, silly circumstances.
Yeah, that's it. And the other thing here is like this, as we just heard about the fact that there is a nuclear reactor and a heavy water site. It's very on the nose. Nuclear weapons are bad now. Like the villains have them.
Yeah, for sure. The Unibro wins out in this argument. They decide to attempt waking the atomic beast using electricity.
Yep.
They unspool or unwrap that necklace Dio stole from the warehouse earlier.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is revealed to have been made out of copper wire. And they attach one end to the cannibal saber. Hello, we're using all our inventory items.
Yep.
You are so on point to call this a point-and-click adventure.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Even to the point of like where you're combining the items together.
Combine, that's it, yep. That doesn't quite go there. I don't think we're going to do that just yet. Yeah, those kind of dialogue options coming up.
Yeah. They attach one end of it to that cannibal saber. They stick that saber on top of the cliff outside the cave. The other one...
Yep.
The other end is lowered down to Godzilla's gargantuan prone form.
This bothered me. I know why they did this, right? Just set it up.
Yep.
But I'm sitting there being like, you don't have to put that sword up there until there actually is a storm, because now you've put a big shiny thing on top of where you are, and
you're actively being searched for.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, Sam, you're thinking about this too much.
Yes, you are. Pull back, buddy. You've gone too deep.
Yeah, right. That's common sense be there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot here that doesn't square up because it's very, very lucky that the wire is long enough for this to work.
Yep.
And it's equally as serendipitous when that storm kicks up like 3 scenes later.
Right, yes. We're moving along.
A lot of conveniences here. But we're not quite to the lightning yet. In the cave with the imprisoned infant islanders, we'll call this prison cave. Our solo Unibro, he has the bright idea to make a fake batch of the X-13 substance, which would render the Red Bamboo ships vulnerable to Ebirah. Also on Infant Island, Yata and Ryota, they set off for Lechi Island to return there to help save their friends and the other islanders, despite the Shobijin's warnings against it.
These boys are single-minded. They have one mission in mind, and it's to save the day all the fucking time.
Yeah, man. I find them endearing enough at times. The Shobijin also present them with 2 barrels of X-13 for themselves to help them avoid Ebirah as they sail back. The Shobijin also tell the 2 fisherman brothers to instruct their people to construct a large net when they get there, and that they'll know how to use that net when the time comes.
Right, yeah, it's very prophetic. And I bought into that. I was like, yeah, okay, we know what's going to happen at the end of this movie, but I feel like that works within the realm of the Shibujin. Mm-hmm. It feels like part of their character.
Yeah, they are, in a way, one of the most believable, unbelievable parts of this franchise.
Yeah, and I think it's just because they're well established.
Well established, well presented.
Yeah.
There's also a very cool and believable shot of the 2 Shobijin waving from the beach between the legs of the other islanders here. Again, we're seeing that scale communicated really well.
Yeah.
Now it's storm time. We watch as Yata and Ryota's outrigger boat gets slammed by massive waves as they approach Lecce Island. We see Ebirah's huge claw once again emerge from the water. This is just shown in such an impressive way yet again. And we also, here's my note. We also see one of the coolest miniatures Toho's shown us yet. It's an outrigger boat with a model for each of the two brothers.
Yeah.
One faces away from the camera and the other continuously rows. It's like a little...
Oh, you can see the one arm. There's one arm like a wind-up toy.
It's a clockwork toy. It looks so good. And we see this little model in front of Ebirah's immense and terrible claw, and eventually its full torso. We finally see Ebirah kind of rear up a little more. The brothers then jump, and they make a swim for shore, while lightning finally strikes the cannibal saber, and we see a close-up shot of Godzilla's eye slide open. It's chilling. It's good.
It's probably the best emergence of Godzilla other than, maybe the first movie. I might be glossing over some there, but it was a good intro.
We're also overlooking like the manner by which the intro like comes about. Like him sleeping is cool and his eye opening is cool.
That's true.
The whole saber lightning contraption is peak silliness.
Yeah, and it's the Frankenstein thing, right? That's
Frankenstein by way of King Kong.
Exactly.
To Godzilla somehow.
To Tropical Zilla, yeah.
Yeah, very silly. But I can totally imagine a crowd of Japanese children cheering in the theater when Godzilla's eye opened.
Yeah.
We see the big G stand at full height and he breaks out of the cliff face.
He does. His arms are always kind of pumping in this movie.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like he's stuck in a triumphant cheer. Yeah.
He comes out pretty well.
But he also looks weirdly toothless in this movie.
Gummy Godzilla.
Gummyzilla. He gives a triumphant roar against the mist and the stormy sky, which is pretty cool. Ebirah and the G-Man immediately call each other out.
Yeah.
Godzilla starts making his way over to the water, all while this kind of 60s surfs up guitar riff starts playing. They roar at each other, and Godzilla swiftly kicks a boulder at his new opponent. Shockingly,
yes,
and I was genuinely taken aback, Ebirah swats the boulder back with his claw, and Godzilla catches the boulder.
Yeah, we get a bit of a rally. It's funny because in many ways this movie is going back to Godzilla versus King Kong, Godzilla angle. It's like we're just going to have a scrap.
Yeah.
But they do the tennis rally that we saw happen with Godzilla and Rodan and Ghidorah. We're getting this kind of funny fight to begin with. They do have very good fights in this movie, but I was surprised that we went to the tennis rally gimmick this quickly.
I want to give a shout out to Arikawa here because the boulders in past movies, we just saw them sort of slide out of frame or shoot out of frame. Here we see the boulders complete arc through the air.
Yeah.
Traveling from Godzilla to Ebirah and sometimes back. It looks really cool.
It's always nice to be able to see both kaijus in the same shot rather than cutting from one to the other constantly.
Absolutely.
Which this movie is guilty of at points, but it's always nice to have them all together in one shot.
And this is a fun interaction / opening salvo. There's a few more rounds of the tennis volleys with the tossed boulders. We see Godzilla hunker down to pick new ones up. Ebirah snags them out of the sky. That looks great. And in front of this dark and stormy sky with mist rolling over the Green Mountain set. While this is all happening, we see a quick shot of Ryota and Yata making it safely to shore before we see Ebirah hurl a boulder back at Godzilla, who knocks it away and off into the distance, where it smashes one of the red bamboo control towers to bits.
That's right, and that's when they sound the alarm.
So the red bamboo soldiers start to mobilize under Captain Yamato's command while Godzilla heads into the water to throw down with Ebirah directly.
Yeah.
Ebirah rears up and looks genuinely terrifying. We can see the whole body.
Yeah, it's a good representation. It's clearly a lobster. But those claws are pretty intimidating.
Yeah, man.
And I think Ebirah, in the end, gets done dirty in this movie.
Okay.
But I enjoyed seeing him at his full scale in this fight.
Yeah. So Ebirah, again, he rears up. He looks terrifying. He clamps down on one of Godzilla's arms in its fearsome right claw.
Yeah, that's vicious.
That right claw, it's oversized compared to the left.
Looks painful.
Godzilla isn't too bothered, though. He frees his arm, grabs the claw right back, and throws Ebirah bodily over his head like a dang rag doll.
Yeah, there's like a judo flip he does on him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it allows us to see the full crustaceous glory of the suit.
Yeah, you see the whole scales down to the tail and stuff. Yeah.
Godzilla then starts slamming into it with its arms, but Ebirah escapes underwater where it pulls Godzilla under. They have a quick tangle, but Ebirah soon swims off, leaving Godzilla awake and lumbering back toward Lecce Island.
So when I saw Godzilla approach the water, he is victorious. Like, he does get Ebirah away.
Yeah.
But I was of the mindset that, Godzilla is just as happy as he is in water as he would be in land. And, like, possibly happy in water. In the second movie, he swims the entire length of Japan, right? He goes from Osaka to Kaido.
Yeah.
He's very often swimming from islands to Tokyo, and you even see that in the modern adaptations of Godzilla, right? And I kind of found him to be, he is cumbersome because he's a man in a rubber suit. But I was like, you know what? If you want to put Godzilla in a predicament where he might not succeed, I'm not going to buy water.
Yeah, very true. We've seen his mastery before. We know he's comfortable there. The sky clears and we rejoin Yoshimura, Dio, and their Unibro as they start making a perimeter of traps to catch red bamboo thugs. They notice movement in the jungle and soon find that they've accidentally trapped not red bamboo thugs, but Ryota and his brother, who are now hanging upside down from the trees. They let the brothers down. There's a very quick reunion wherein Yatta again shows that he's just as stubborn, just as much so as his brother, and they run off with Dio to help the infant islanders, much to the consternation of Yoshimura and Unibro. So we're here. Hi, we're going to go save your friends.
Yeah, and Ryota and his brother kind of shame the others because the brother runs off and he's like, that's what he does. That's all he ever wants to do is help people who need help. And I'm being there like, do you know what? You got on a balloon and flew here and flew back with the help of bloody Mothra. And like, yeah, fair enough. You got past Ebirah. We woke up Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like, who's done the most here to solve this problem? Like, you think you're so fucking good. Look at you, save the day.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting read, Sam. So Yoshimura says aloud as they run off, we might as well help them. I'm a sucker for a hero.
Yeah.
And then he bounds
But that's
off.
always the pecking order, right? It's always the brothers, then I can't remember his name, Akira.
Yoshimura.
And then it's the frat. That's always the order it goes in. Yeah.
He then bounds off after them, and that proves to me that Takarada can actually be incredibly likable when he wants to be.
He's the villain come good, right? It's an easy story to get behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Rather than the hubristic
blowhard from the previous movies.
Blowhard, yeah.
They arrive at the Red Bamboo base's perimeter to find the whole place in motion. The commander is telling Captain Yamato that reinforcements are on the way, and Yamato says that their electric barrier is set at 100,000 volts.
Hey-o.
They're back.
Yeah, you hear that and you know exactly what's going. And I don't know about you, but when you heard the number 100,000 volts, what did you think?
I thought of 3 movies ago when we already did this several times.
Several times, but also like back then they were doing 10, 20, 30 million volts.
Oh, were they?
I'm like, what 100,000 volts is literally nothing to Godzilla.
Okay.
It's like not even a mosquito bite to him.
Oh, okay.
Guys, come on. Like, I appreciate you're on an island and you don't have as much power as the whole nation of Japan, but you gotta raise those numbers.
Thank God I wasn't on this island, because I would have been like, oh, yeah, sounds good to me. Sure, that'll...
Sure, easily enough, yep.
A passing soldier also alerts them that our heroes' conversation about how they're going to infiltrate the base is being picked up by a hidden microphone in a tree hanging just above their heads, which is supremely stupid.
You reckon? I don't know. I buy that. I think that's a pretty clever way to defend your territory.
Okay, I'll hang some microphones around. This movie's all over the place. So within the world of this particular film,
this is pretty tame. This is pretty wild.
It's not so unbelievable.
This is fairly logical.
No.
Yeah, this is relatively logical.
You got me. Let's see. It does lead to a funny moment where Yoshimura cockily blusters that I know when I'm being hunted, just before a bullet ricochets off a rock next to his head.
Yep.
The soldiers then show up and lead our heroes on another Scooby-Doo chase through the jungle, scored by some silly, jaunty music. Dio gets separated from the group and finds herself alone near the cliffs being pursued by soldiers. But when she turns a corner, she finds herself face to gigantic face with Godzilla leering over the cliff at her.
That's right. It was good to see him do that because it was very reminiscent of the first movie. But this is the moment I alluded to earlier where there seems to almost be a connection between Dio and Godzilla. Are we there yet? Is it
this is the scene, yeah.
Yeah, and in the same way that King Kong seems to have this odd connection for beautiful ladies who are
in peril.
Yeah, exactly. So it's easy to kind of see where the King Kong aspect of the former script works here.
They literally just plug and played with Godzilla.
Let me just cut and paste Godzilla.
Yeah. Speaking of imperiled women, those guards are right behind her until they see Godzilla, and then they just immediately retreat.
They make the right decision.
Yeah. Godzilla then leans over and studies Dio in, yes, that King Kong-like fashion for a good minute or so of screen time.
Yeah.
Dio calls for help, which is heard by our other heroes who run over and watch from the sidelines as Dio plays dead.
Yes.
Godzilla then sits down and watches her.
Yep, can't buy a presence.
And he eventually falls asleep, allowing Dio to make a break for it and reunite with her friends. Just as she's free of danger, though, a giant condor kaiju.
Please, yes.
It comes screeching down out of the sky at the now snoozing and vulnerable Godzilla.
This is the most inexplicable part of the movie. But at the same time, it's not the most memorable part of the movie. But when this happens, I couldn't understand what I was seeing. Sorry, but carry on.
I wrote that it's a fun idea, but the execution's not the greatest. This thing...
It's so curious. Like, where has this come from? What is this about? How does this connect to the movie?
It begins the scene, this condor kaiju, looking very haggard and clunky.
Yeah. But it is a kaiju. Don't think of it as like the octopus that we saw, right? It is a model monster, and clearly smaller than Rodan.
Funny you say that. We'll talk about that in Kaiju Corner.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it starts out looking bad before Godzilla even wakes up, but there's a classic close-up scramble with it from the older movies where...
Yep.
Can't believe I'm saying the older movies, but...
Close-up of the face.
Yeah, the camera's like right up on both of them, and they're just scrambling around. It's very frantic. They look like Muppets.
It speaks to the fact that Godzilla really struggles with the flying kaiju.
Yes.
Every standing kaiju, he is absolutely nailed. Mm-hmm. Other than, maybe...
Ghidorah.
Well, he flies.
Okay, true.
Bug Mothra is like the only one that's he's never done any damage to, I'd say. But everyone else, he's kicked their ass.
Right. The condor scratches at his eyes and face and tail, but Godzilla tosses it off, gives it a good old blast of the atomic breath.
Absolutely nails it with the breath. Godzilla's aim is
impeccable
in this movie. He does not miss.
That one blast sends it crashing into the water in a cloud of smoke.
Good night.
The whole thing is 90 seconds.
Wow.
Maybe that's generous.
Baffling.
I don't know. It just happens.
Yeah, but it's baffling.
And to add to the surreality, Godzilla does a very silly victory sign.
Yeah, what is this?
He rubs one of his eyes with a finger.
Yeah.
And I think this is another pop culture nod.
Right.
I think to an anime or a drama character. And I guess they included it because without Honda around to try to veto it, they probably had a much easier time getting it into the movie.
Yeah. When I first saw this, I think I went back to watch it because I was trying to figure out what motion he was doing. So my first thought was, there is a thing where you can kind of like tap the side of your nose a few times and it tells the person that you know what's going on and the other person doesn't. Like, you're in charge. But it's not like that. He does put his finger on his nose and then kind of rub it towards his eye.
It is reminiscent in maybe purpose to like the V for victory hand motion, I would think.
And then the other part of this is the only time in the movie where Godzilla shows that kind of human characteristics, because we've seen it a couple of times in Ghidorah primarily, but also in Invasion of the Astro Monster. Godzilla is back to his versus King Kong versus Mothra. Godzilla raids again. For the most part, he is just a monster.
Yeah.
But this is the brief moment in it where he shows human traits.
For sure. And moments later, a squadron of red bamboo jet fighters are rounding the corner of the island and bearing down on Godzilla as more slick surfing guitar riffs are playing in the background.
Let loose. This was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. The jets light the cliffside up with missiles, but our boy Zilla isn't too bothered. He withstands their attacks and starts whapping them out of the air with his tail. He snatches one of them in each hand and slams them together.
Yeah.
That's very badass.
These are some pretty dreadful pilots. These pilots
that's true.
do not know what they are doing. They're getting awfully close to Godzilla. But yeah, he's on a roll. He's nailed Ebirah, has a moment of peril with the mysterious condor, finishes the job, and now he's absolutely just slaying these pilots.
Oh yeah, it's kind of diminishing returns with the level
that's right. The monsters
threat. Yeah. Dio, meanwhile, takes this opportunity to reconnect with her friends. Yeah, Godzilla's just wrecking everybody.
He's having a good day.
He then starts marching over to the Red Bamboo base where Captain Yamato and the commander watch from the command room, and you just know they're shitting their pants at this point.
Understandably.
Oh yeah. The base's defenses make some impotent attempts at shooting him down with machine gun fire. They zap him with the 100,000 volt electric barrier, but Godzilla lays waste to the base. He smashes the fence with a boulder. He stomps on through. His stomping starts caving in the prison where the infant islanders are held, though.
Right.
And the Red Bamboo leaders give an order to start a self-destruct sequence and evacuate the island. So we see a group of soldiers come into the prison. They take the now fake yellow liquid made by the islanders, and they then back out again, all while keeping the islanders at gunpoint so they can't escape.
And they what are we going to do? You got to let us out.
Yeah.
They're terrified. They feel the tremors and they can see the cave caving in.
Yeah. In any other movie, that would be incredibly bleak and sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here, we're just kind of blowing through it.
In bright colors.
In bright colors. And we're seeing the walls and ceiling caving in. But Yoshimura and Yatta have broken off from the hero crew. They've made their way through the rubble, and they're here to save the islanders with Yoshimura's wildly convenient skeleton key.
Yeah, what a wonderful tool.
We've gotten a lot of use out of that particular inventory item.
Yeah.
They escape, and they have a 5-second standoff in the heavy water nuclear factory with a scientist who has his hand hovering over a button which he claims will blow the island to bits when pressed.
I wonder if that's the assassin. He says, as soon as I press this button, and then the roof caves in, I believe, and kills him.
That's why I said it's a 5-second standoff, because as soon as he's finished that sentence of this button will destroy the island, the freaking ceiling drops down on him.
Yeah.
In his dying breaths, the scientist lets Yoshimura know, though, that they have 2 hours before the island will self-destruct.
Yeah, so we don't quite get the timer, because at this point you're expecting to see the 24 clock appear and but you are told how much time there is.
2 hours, very generous as well.
Quite generous. Also, in the last movie, you have 24 hours to resolve the situation with which you find yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Chaos ensues, as you'd imagine. Godzilla continues rampaging around the compound. The Red Bamboo boat with the evacuating soldiers and higher-ups takes off, and the infant islanders meet up with Ryota, Dio, and company with just the briefest pause for Yatta to say, "Hurry, we need to make a big net." That made me laugh.
Yes, there it is.
We see Ebirah rear up out of the water in front of the Red Bamboo boat, and despite the commander ordering to use all the X-13 liquid, they get lobster clawed without a moment's hesitation. Their boat is lifted up and then slammed back into the water, and Godzilla then sees Ebirah and starts heading into the water for round 2, baby.
The fight is on. Godzilla Ebirah.
As he heads for the water, we do, though, see our infant islanders kind of scurrying to make that net and catch up with Yoshimura, who is still in the nuclear facility. He's trying desperately to reach into the rubble and reach that button that will presumably halt the island's nuclear meltdown, which I don't get because the scientist was threatening to
as soon as
press
I push it, I was in the same track as you were there as well.
Yeah. So is this a double, like, did he press it? And then now if they press it again, it will halt everything. Who knows?
Yeah. I did enjoy, I think that they swapped the character that's reaching, because I think one has longer, slenderer arm. But the gurning.
Yeah, Ryota.
Yeah, Ryota. So the gurning that Ryota is doing to, portray the agony of reaching as far as he's doing a pretty good job of gurning and mugging for the camera.
There's that, and there's also another layer of silliness to this in that the button itself is on like a little piston.
That's
which,
right.
For some inexplicable reason, is moving up and down just outside of his reach. Like whenever he gets close, it goes down, and then it comes back up again. It's so gobsmacking. I don't know.
So what I'm imagining is they obviously put a contract out for the designer of this installation, whatever you call this heavy water facility, and it went to someone who used to create those whack-a-mole devices. I know. Boy, howdy. I hope we have someone who can make this.
So
I know a guy.
silly.
Yeah, he'll make it.
There's one tiny thing he does with all his buildings, but just go along with it. Back at the fight, Godzilla blasts Ebirah with his breath, which doesn't seem too effective in that moment. He then gets pulled under the water and locked in a death spin.
Yeah.
It's kind of a corkscrewing through the water with the big G. I think several animals do this in nature.
Crocodiles, alligators.
Yeah. We cut away back to Infant Island for more dancing and praying and chanting with only 20 minutes left before Lecce explodes.
Right.
The net is being constructed in a flurry. Godzilla's struggling against Ebirah underwater. And finally, in a close-up of Mothra's giant prone head, its antennae begin to wiggle about. Mm-hmm. And our savior queen is back.
She's awake.
She gets right to work and lifts off, bound for Lecce. In the water, Godzilla disables Ebirah by ripping not just one, but both of the great lobster boss's claws off. First the smaller left, and then the larger right.
So this is what I was referring to when I was like, they've done Ebirah dirty, because I don't think any other kaiju gets such a humiliating defeat than Ebirah does here.
Mangled.
Completely humbled. And it's like you say, that Saturday cartoon thing of like, you're here for one day, buddy, and
he's a monster of the week.
Hopefully you'll find some work down the line. And it speaks to the thing of like, wow, the movie is in a really small world, because typically I'm expecting to see you again in the future, and maybe we will, but this felt like a very cut and dry, Godzilla was never in any kind of peril deal. So I felt bad for Ebirah here. To go back to Mothra, we have seen Mothra fly in Godzilla vs. Mothra, or Mothra vs. Godzilla, but a lot of that movie was close-ups of like, here's Mothra, here's Godzilla, we're going to shake the camera.
Yeah.
What I really enjoy about Mothra in this movie is we getting to see her do a lot of flying, full body model motions.
Yeah, she's only in the movie for 5 to 10 minutes max, probably closer to 5. But she looks great. Everything about Mothra is handled so well. But I think so. Very quickly before that, I just wanted to finish my thought there that Ebirah lets out this shrill keen of pain. And Godzilla, badass that he is in this movie, he taunts Ebirah by clacking its right pincer together at it.
That's right.
Staring it down as it slinks away, crippled and ruined.
Yeah, poor Ebirah.
But yes, then Mothra, ridden by the Shobijin, she flies elegantly past in the sky overhead. From, we see her flying past Godzilla.
Yeah, precisely. Like, it's great, and it's not the whole idea of Mothra is on a string and we're going to move the camera. Right. It feels like Mothra, the kaiju itself, is moving.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Flies past, Godzilla sees it, and she lands near the Infant Islanders with their net in a very cool shot where we actually see them running up to her. And that also looks great.
Yeah.
So many of the shots with the kaiju themselves or when scale is involved looked really good in this movie. The filmmaking is leveling up a bit, and I don't want to...
when it comes to the kaiju...
Yeah, I don't want to diminish anything Honda's done in the past, but like some of this kaiju stuff, damn.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And I honestly feel that Mothra elevates this movie. Anytime Mothra's in this movie, it becomes a better movie.
Yeah.
It's like seeing, what's his name? He's in The Lighthouse.
Willem Dafoe.
Pretty Things. Anytime Willem Dafoe shows up in a movie, you're like, this movie's already better.
Stamp of approval.
Stamp of approval. And that's how it felt when Mothra showed up. It's like, all right, you've made this scene better by association.
And that scene where, the islanders are running up to her, it genuinely looks better than some modern CGI films.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Since Godzilla's been attracted by Mothra's arrival, he starts heading over and gives a preliminary blast of atomic breath in her direction.
Yeah.
She starts kicking up a windstorm to hold Godzilla at bay with what must be mere minutes left before the island explodes. Then sort of gives that up and just rams him, knocking him completely over with a slap of one of her wings. She then grabs the islanders and they fly off as Godzilla stands alone and shrieks after them from atop the island. It is a very, very cool wraparound shot where the camera stays behind his head as he turns to watch Mothra leave. All of this is happening in camera at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's both impressive and really sad.
So it is sad and it is impressive. And as I say, anytime Mothra shows up, the movie gets better.
Yep.
The thing I found about the Godzilla Mothra interaction, it's pretty mute. They both get one dig in and then they're separated.
Yeah.
And again, I'm thinking about it too much. But I'm like, you guys are friends. You have been through so much together.
Yeah.
So I was a bit annoyed in that kind of, what is it called, retconning? I don't know if it's like, I don't think they're entirely going back to what it used to be, but I don't know. It didn't sit well with me as someone who is currently watching the Godzilla movies in order.
Sure. Well, you might say like Mothra had that session with Godzilla and Rodan at the end of Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And got them to
possibly the best part of all of the movies we've seen so far.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
Yeah. She mediated a confrontation between them, got them to work together.
Yeah.
And we even
Godzilla saved Mothra's life.
Yes. We even saw Godzilla save Mothra's life. So.
And they talk to each other.
They were definitely in a better place before. We could maybe make an argument that Godzilla has not seen this Mothra in Imago state.
Right. So I would counter that by saying Mothra is a god and could quite easily tell Godzilla, this is who I am and you know it's me.
Yeah.
But again,
true.
I'm thinking about it too much.
Oh, way too much. Pull back. Pull back.
Yeah. Return to the world of Lecce Island.
Yeah. So I think I was saying that Godzilla has been left alone on this island and is watching everyone, every other life form, Mothra and our hero characters. He's watching them leave.
Without
him. He's being left alone. Toho points out from up in the sky. She says she feels bad for Godzilla.
Yeah.
The other heroes agree and they start yelling, run away, get into the sea because, the timer.
And I think they make the point of saying, like, he didn't do anything to us.
Yeah.
He was just being himself.
They have a conversation about this. Yeah. It's a very human touch to the movie.
And it's reminiscent of a scene we forgot to talk about in the last one about the invasion of Astro Monster, where Godzilla and Rodan and Ghidorah are essentially left on Planet X as the P-90 leaves. And you're kind of looking at Godzilla like this poor kidnapped victim or whatever, poor child that's just been taken somewhere and left behind.
Looking up at the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to feed me?
Who's going to save the children, right? Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sorry, Karen.
No, it's a very good point that perhaps this is where these kinds of moments are where Godzilla is humanized the most.
Yeah, that's true.
When we
That's true.
literally feel empathy for
That's right.
for him and the other kaiju. And they're yelling at him, get away, get into the sea. It's unclear whether Godzilla hears them, but he must have at least some sort of realization because he does raise his arms into the sky, he roars, and then he does a freaking cannonball off the cliffside into the water just as the island goes up in flames and starts literally crumbling into the sea, which is a very fun sequence of miniature destruction.
But the leap he takes is really enjoyable because, as you say, a cannonball, he's not like jumping with his feet facing down. His feet are facing forwards, like a 90-degree angle, and you get to see how thick his legs are and just how big his paw pads are. It's part of Godzilla we don't normally get to see. It's quite funny.
Yeah, man. And up in the net, we get a few more lines of what is quickly becoming classic Toho moralizing.
Yeah.
You said maybe that felt like Honda. Maybe it's Sekizawa, the
Yeah.
screenwriter.
Got it
Maybe
wrong all along.
Well, I don't know. I do think Honda's pushing bigger ideas or trying to in his entries. But it could be Sekizawa here.
Yeah.
One of the Uni brothers says, the island's gone forever, but it's not the end of nuclear weapons. The future is in the hands of the people now. Yoshimura.
Now you sound like a politician, right?
Yep. Yoshimura ribs him by saying that. And he also says, maybe I'll go straight now.
That's right.
Renounce his life of crime is what he means there. They then spot Godzilla, who has survived. And we get one final shot of Mothra flying off with Infant Island now visible in the distance.
We all lived happily ever after.
Yeah, man. The end. Okay, so let's talk about our final thoughts about this movie, our opinions. I think I liked this a lot more than you did.
Yep, I expect so.
Okay. I'll start then. Yeah, I like its silly tone. I like a lot of the camera movements. Just reading through the notes again and reminding myself of that particular shot of the camera following along behind the back of Godzilla's head as Mothra flies off. Like, damn, that alone is one of the better single moments we've had in these kaiju movies.
Yeah.
It's a bit more adventurous in tone this time around, while also being smaller in scale and scope than our last two movies. I also liked Akira Takarada's character a lot more this time around. He's much more charismatic, and I think that when they lean into him being a scumbag, his character is a lot less abrasive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very like Han Solo-esque. It feels new enough this time with all the sailing and the high seas adventuring. It's got bright popping colors on the characters' costumes, and there were a lot of familiar faces to see here, like Akiko Harada's and Kumi Mizuno. The music consistently had that surfer twang to it, which was a lot of fun. And I loved the presentation of Ebirah from that first appearance as the massive shadow in the dark to its clashes with Godzilla. And to top it all off, we get Mothra as our buzzer beater savior queen whooshing in and saving the day.
Yeah.
So I was really prepared to be let down by this one. So maybe that's part of it.
Okay.
After Astro Monster, my expectations were kind of low.
Sure.
But I wasn't let down at all. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad it's here as part of our series walkthrough. It's not my favorite, but honestly, it's up there for me now.
Okay, so I can concur with an awful lot of that. When I think about the positives for me, it's mostly on the presentation of the kaijus, the battles, especially Mothra's presentation. As I kind of mentioned towards the end of the review there, like the whole movie elevates when Mothra's in it.
Yeah.
I like being able to have a story told through a completely different set of characters, anti-heroes, so I can buy into that as well. I like the villains, I suppose, and you're absolutely right, like not just the presentation of Mothra, like Ebirah as a model and as a backdrop is terrifying, and it kind of speaks to that.
He's something, yeah.
He's something, and it speaks to that. I don't know what it is about humans, but we do find sea creatures alien and more horrific because Mothra is a sweet moth, Rodan is a dinosaur bird. Ghidorah definitely has a bit more fear about them, but everyone else we can rationalize the other ones. We can't seem to rationalize the mind of a giant lobster.
For sure.
So I can buy into that, but I suppose what I don't like about the movie is we have, in the previous two movies, we've had, the Sicilians and the Venetians, and then we went into space, and now it feels like we're just going to shrink that world down, monster of the week mentality.
Yeah.
It's not a cookie-cutter narrative, but it feels like Pulp Fiction throwaway stuff when we have had a linear story being told somewhat.
From entry to entry, you mean?
Yeah, for the most part. Not like, even the King Kong movie, and Raids Again, they are kind of happening somewhat independently of one another, but once we get to like Mothra, we do seem to be
There's
on
a through line.
Yeah, precisely. So I'm disappointed in that kind of ending. I'm disappointed in how that then means Ebirah is treated in this movie. And again, you might know way more than me. Ebirah is going to show up again, having regrown their pincers, but as shocking, as terrifying as Ebirah is presented, for the most part, they're getting their ass kicked by Godzilla.
Yeah, very true.
The nuclear element is very on the nose. That's not necessarily bad, because I think this is the first time we're really saying nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really feel like we're moving forward here. It does feel like we're just
treading water.
Yeah, treading water, yeah. Let's roll out the VCR for the science class and put a videotape kind of day.
So it's a filler episode for you.
It's a filler, but it's it's not dreadful, far from it. It just didn't really ignite like, oh wow, I can't believe they took it this way, or these kind of new bold ideas of, hey, we're going into space, or hey, these kaijus can talk to each other now and work together, and it felt like we were taking a step backwards from that development.
Okay, yeah. No, I think every complaint you've just brought to the table here is very valid. I mean, we're not always going to see eye to eye here.
No, and I can't really think, do you know what? What was it? Invasion of Astro Monsters?
Yeah.
Maybe that's my least favorite at the moment.
Same.
Because of the claustrophobic nature of it. So, I mean, it's like, that's not good company to be in, but Ebirah is certainly not the worst movie of the franchise we've seen so far.
Yeah.
But when you're in that conversation, then, it's not a good conversation to be a part of, really.
Sure. All right. Now that we've both hashed out our differences, shall we surf on over to Kaiju Corner?
Absolutely. Get the dinghy out.
Tubular. Well, Sam, we have a fairly bountiful harvest this time with 2 classic kaiju returning and 2 newcomers on the block.
One very unexpected entrance.
Oh, yeah. So, as always, let's pay the king his due and talk about Godzilla first. This is the same suit used from the Invasion of Astro Monster, which may account for a somewhat rattier appearance, which some fans have called out as a flaw of this film. It didn't bother me at all. Didn't notice at all. Additionally, and I thought this was pretty interesting, Subaraya Productions, that's our usual special effects director up to this point, he wanted to borrow the head from this suit to be used in their Ultraman television series during the middle of filming this movie. Toho approved, and because Subaraya Productions recolored and altered the original head, I think they used it to make a new kaiju for the show. A different head with less aggressive eyes was grafted onto this body for the remainder of the shoot. I could not tell you when that happened. I wasn't looking for it. Perhaps I should have been, but yeah.
It certainly didn't stick out.
We do see a few somewhat new physical abilities from our invincible king of the monsters this time. He is able to headbutt a rock, Sam. He also tosses Ebirah bodily, and he even bites off one of Ebirah's claws, ripping off the other. Our King Goji is also awakened by electricity in this film, but as we mentioned earlier, this was a leftover script element from King Kong's involvement. As for our returning Imago Queen, we're seeing reused Mothra props from her original 1961 solo film outing and 1964's Mothra vs. Godzilla, which was yet another choice stemming from Toho wanting to cut costs on this entry. We also get a matte painted version of Our Lady of the Skies, which shows her sleeping on Infant Island, and we both commented on this matte painting and how amazing it looked.
Yeah.
This time around, our giant moth monster has metamorphosed between films from larva to Imago, and we also see her demonstrate some incredible strength, easily knocking Godzilla down bodily before escaping Lecce Island. Now we're getting to that sweet, sweet newness, Sam.
Yeah, all right, let's hear about it.
On to the giant condor.
Okay.
So he is known as the giant condor in the West, and either Ukondoru or Daikondoru in Japan. This giant monster bird is an enormous bird that was mutated by nuclear runoff on Lecce Island. It doesn't have a terribly long appearance in this film, but it's a memorable one, attacking Godzilla and going down in flames very soon thereafter. It has a length of 15 meters, that's just 49 feet, a wingspan of 25 meters, that's 82 feet, and a weight of 2,000 metric tons, and it can fly at speeds of Mach 1, making it a bit slower than Rodan, which, speaking of Rodan, this kaiju's model is a refurbishment of that Winged Warriors model from the previous 2 films in the series.
Okay.
Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, and Invasion of Astro Monster. So in a way, this would give Rodan 3 mainline series appearances in a row.
Wow.
Isn't that exciting?
That is impressive.
According to Kai Bunsha's 1997 book, Japanese SFX and Fantasy Movies, the condor was meant to be an homage to the pteranodon that appears in the original King Kong film by series screenwriter Shinichi Sekizawa. So we have yet another holdover from the original ape-centric script here.
The King Kong?
The very first black and white King Kong movie, I guess he fights pteranodon, and this condor is meant to be a shout out.
I'm with you. They're on Skull Island or whatever. Yeah.
Right, exactly. We can't assume much about this kaiju's personality other than that it is quite aggressive. And as far as physical prowess
It's
goes...
quite aggressive. It's pissed off. Fuck.
Oh, yeah. As far as physical prowess goes, we know it can fly and that it uses both its sharp beak and talons to attack the G-Man. That's about it. No special powers to speak of, and it's particularly vulnerable to Godzilla's atomic breath.
Yeah, it gets absolutely roasted.
Yeah, man. As you said, he's a pissed off bird that
Got no business being in this movie.
he just goes down like he came in a hail of fury and fire.
Feathers, yeah.
All right, now for our eponymous antagonist, the sea monster Ebirah, also known as the shrimp thing, the crustaceous brute, and the lobstrosity.
Whoa.
Which
Great name.
just so happens that last one is a shout out to Stephen King's The Dark Tower series, which I'm currently reading.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that shout out was made in a Godzilla comic run from 2023, subtitled Here There Be Dragons. So this huge decapod monster is a giant crustacean whose Japanese name is a play on the word ebi, which denotes many types of crustaceans like lobsters, crayfish, and shrimp. He's 50 meters tall, that's 164 feet. He's 60 meters long, 197 feet, and weighs in at 23,000 metric tons. Wikizilla lists the length of its right pincer at 15 meters and left at 13 meters, respectively. And this bad mother clauncher can swim at 150 kilometers or 93 miles per hour.
Dang, fast shrimp.
Come get your fast shrimp.
There is a jumbo shrimp joke to be made here, isn't there, for sure?
I'll let you,
Yeah, somehow weave that in.
marinate in that.
Yeah.
It most closely resembles a giant lobster with a segmented body. It has 2 antennae, 2 whiskers, a giant pointed and curved rostrum. That's a beak-like facial structure, a back carapace lined in spikes, a long fan-tipped tail, 6 thin insectoid legs, and a right claw that's bigger than its left. Its origin is the same as the giant condors. We'll knock them both out here. It's a mutant created from the runoff caused by the Red Bamboo Organization's terrorist activities on Lecce Island.
So where does that get explained?
I think in fan-made, or not fan-made, but
Yeah.
like extra material for fans.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Books
Or comics, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
There on Lecce Island, it served as a sort of guard for them, destroying ships that tried to land there until Godzilla woke up and put a rather forceful stop to all its aquatic nonsense. The suit was a bit unconventional, Sam. It was constructed in 2 halves, an upper torso and a set of legs with a tail, so suit actor Hiroshi Sakita would wear the upper half during scenes above water, and the halves would then be put together and manipulated like a puppet without an actor inside when it was below water. And in that one moment when Godzilla throws the full body, there's nobody in there.
Oh, the Julie flip.
There are promotional images out there of Godzilla fighting Ebirah on land, but these were just that, promotional. Their only interactions in the final film take place in the water. And finally, a large model was made of the lobstrosity's claw for scenes during which it attacked the Yalin and other vessels. A director at Toho during the film's production, Susumu Goto, reportedly stated that Ebirah was given more than 2 legs to shake up the presumed over-reliance on bipedal monsters in the Toho canon, saying it, quote, wouldn't be interesting if both Godzilla and his opponent stood on 2 legs. The effective special effects director of this film, Sadamasa Arikawa, tried to emphasize Ebirah's more unique characteristics during filming, like its powerful claws and the eeriness of its mouth movements. I don't know if the latter came through completely, but the claw, definitely.
And he's right about having, this conceit of not having always these bipeds. Yeah, it's always good to keep the opponent kaijus interesting and novel.
Yeah, keep things fresh. Personality-wise, Ebirah is incredibly aggressive, challenging the larger Godzilla multiple times and destroying boats in the waters around Lecce Island. In combat, Ebirah uses its immense strength and outsized right claw as a means to toss and hurl boulders, clamp down on boats or its opponents, and to pull Godzilla below the water. Its tail can be used to sweep opponents' feet out from below them. It's incredibly durable, surviving nearly being boiled alive by Godzilla's atomic breath, heating the water around it, and it's able to both move on land and in the water. In the water, it's particularly dangerous, being able to grab opponents and wrap its body around them in the death roll, which we saw in the film.
Yep.
Outside of this film, mostly in the comics, Ebirah has been known to have the ability to shoot a freezing foam from its mandibles to regenerate from non-fatal injuries.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. And even fly. A mad scientist.
That's brilliant. Oh, no, you got tied to the same balloons that King Kong was tied to.
Well, that would be fun. But yeah, apparently...
if you could get King Kong to fight Ebirah in the sky on balloons, that's the movie we need to be making.
Wow, okay. Why don't we start drumming up a script to that?
Absolutely, yep.
A mad scientist apparently grafted wings onto it since crustaceans are so similar to insects. Finally, are you familiar with a 2023 indie video game, Sam, called Dave the Diver?
I am and I'm not. I see it in... I have a Switch. I see it in the Nintendo Switch store.
Yeah.
Pretty frequently on sale.
Yeah. It's an action-adventure management sim about underwater exploration.
Yeah, I've watched the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite popular at the time of its release, and it still is pretty popular, I believe. And in 2024, Mint Rocket, the game's developer, released a free, time-limited Godzilla-themed DLC pack, which included 3 missions centering around Ebirah and a freshly radioactive Godzilla, which is quite the fun cameo.
Good for them.
I checked out the trailer for this DLC, and it appears that the 2 kaiju do indeed epically throw down in the game.
Cool.
All right, Sam, over to you, buddy. What do you make of these monsters?
I'm going to hold on to my thoughts about the Condor for a moment.
Okay.
I am going to talk about them later.
Oh.
I found with Godzilla, other than the nose rub, we didn't really get much development here, more regression than anything, and a pretty typical kind of presentation.
Okay.
As I kept saying, like, I whenever Mothra's on screen, either as a model or as a painting, I was really enamored with them. I was going to give it to Mothra for this kaiju corner, but I do think Ebirah is a truly impressive kaiju, is a unique one in its being a lobster, what have you, a sea-bound creature.
Yeah.
The claws are very impressive. It is a scary, terrifying, unknowable monster, and the only reason I was against it was it's not particularly effective unless it's against tiny craft boats.
He's got a specialty.
Yeah, it's not particularly impressive. Seen as like he destroys maybe 3 ships and 2 of them are basically canoes. I felt like he gets done a bit dirty and is not shown off in the best light. However, I think there's enough potential there that I would give Kaiju Corner to Ebirah this time around. But every time I'm talking about it, it's almost like a pity vote, the same way we kind of pity Ryota or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my thoughts for now.
Okay. Yeah, I would give it to Ebirah as well, mostly because I love the presentation. Though, Mothra is such a close second.
I think so.
Lights up the screen this time. Okay, well.
Ebirah, you did it.
Yeah, good job, Ebirah. And let's give out one more award. That is our MVP NPC award.
So this award goes out to any background character that really stole our heart or stole the scene. And, they can be funny ones, they can be sincere ones.
Yep.
Do you want to go first this week?
Yeah, I'll go first because I can already tell yours will be more interesting than mine. I'll shout out very quickly some past winners of the MVP NPC award. Those were the Unseen Budapest Orchestra, Miniature Toy Soldiers, an Overly Zealous Coast Guard,
yes,
a Shaman on a Beach,
yep,
Selgian Guards, and
Selgian
the
Guards.
Japanese National Delegate of Housewives, our newest winner.
Yes, best title.
I was a bit hard-pressed this time, Sam, I'll be honest.
It wasn't easy.
No, there were a lot of interesting groups of people in this movie, but it was hard to single any one particular person out. So I'm going to nominate the 2 Shobijin dolls who we see from behind. They just looked so silly. They were so obviously inanimate objects that they stuck with me throughout the movie.
Sure. It's always a safe answer, especially for me. I will say that perhaps there are other charming models like the one wind-up rower and even the first escapees that kind of get destroyed. So I've got two, one you can already guess, which is the condor.
Yes.
The condor from the West. Because I think, it is a kaiju, but it is so short-lived, unrelated to anything that's going on in the movie that I wonder if it can be regarded as an NPC.
It's the closest kaiju equivalent we've seen or had.
Yeah.
For sure.
And to be fair, if it was to be one, it's pretty hilarious because it is just this large screeching feathery bird that comes in full of piss and vinegar, is clawing at Godzilla's head for a hot minute and then just gets absolutely obliterated. And it looks like what you would see in a cartoon when a chicken gets hit by a large flame, like it's black and it's puffed in smoke. You can see the smoke going from it as it kind of just plummets into the water. It's quite comical. So that's one of them. And the second one was, and I thought of them just as the movie finished. So as the movie finishes, you see everyone flying off to Infant Island with Mothra, and that includes Ryota and his brother, is it Kane?
Yata.
Yes, Yata. Jeez. So the two brothers are flying off to Infant Island with Mothra, and I was like, has anyone given a second's thought for their poor mum, who last time we saw was wailing, who, when the movie started, had just lost a son and is in this emotional limbo where she has no idea if they're alive or dead.
Yep.
And then her only other son has just vanished, and there is no way she knows where he is.
Wow.
Like, there is no, you know what I mean? Like, what is going through her mind as they are laughing? And I think that's what annoyed me, because they laugh like,
Yeah.
we did it. I was like, you take a second to think about your poor mother. Yada and Ryota. She is probably in absolute despair and agony.
Wow, I hadn't thought about her since that one paragraph at the beginning of this episode. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll happily knock the dolls out. We've been there before.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, there are better dolls in the movie. I want with all my heart and soul to choose the Condor, but I almost think it should be disqualified for how directly involved with the plot it is.
Is it?
It's not
like, what does it do to the plot?
Story part of the plot, but it's front and center in the movie for, the 90 seconds or so it's there.
Okay.
It's not a background.
It comes from nothing and it goes from nothing. Yeah, it's...
Wow.
I mean,
this is getting
I would
existential because what is an NPC?
Right. It wouldn't be hard to make the argument that the mother has a larger role on the actual...
She sets the plot
story.
in motion.
Yeah. Precisely.
The actual plot.
Yeah, but it's certainly the Condor has the presence of a character.
Yeah.
Why it is there, I still cannot fathom. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a tough one.
It's a very tough one. Let's do Condor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with my heart, I want to go with the Condor, I think. Yeah.
I want to give it to the Condor because, where else is it ever going to get any nod of any...
Sure, precisely.
If not here.
Well, that's the question, right? Yeah. Unless it mysteriously shows up in another movie, which I fully expect it to do.
I'll let you keep on expecting that. Let's go to our final segment of the show, our Monster Island bonus picks.
Yeah.
I'm bringing one, and I'm bringing it here both because I'm enjoying it and because we have very different opinions on the previous entry. So I sort of wanted to poke the bear a little bit.
Okay.
Welcome to Derry, the prequel It series on HBO Max. I think it has some amazing scares and some really, really brutal imagery. There is even in the most recently aired episode of a clearly Junji Ito inspired hallucination by one of the girls. It's a very almost hard to watch moment. There have been several and a lot of mother-based or motherhood-based horrors.
Okay.
I think it's fun. And I know that we definitely did not see eye to eye on the original, not the It miniseries, but the back-to-back It duology of films directed by Andy Muschietti. I should also mention Andy Muschietti directs. We've also got the same writer on this series from the films. All right. So, yeah.
It's interesting you chose that. And my wife she's a huge It fan, and she does mention the show, and I have made motions like, when do you want to watch that? And I think it's that thing where she's already started, and so we'll hopefully watch it together soon. I am open to it. But...
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
If you do end up watching it, we'll have to check back in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk about enjoying something with your wife. That's my pick. Anytime I can find a video game that my wife sincerely, thoroughly enjoyed playing together, it is a great feeling and it's a huge win. We have a Switch, and the most games we played are the pretty typical ones you'll hear. It Takes Two, Overcooked, and Mario Kart. And while those games have like satisfaction and thrill to them, they have a learning curve. And that means unless you're a constant gamer like me, also you're going to be frustrated, or you're going to be quarterbacked through the game. So I have to tell them this is what you need to do at every single step, because they just don't play video games as much as I do. So the two games that have really fixed that problem and given my wife ownership and joy, the first one was Untitled Goose Game.
Ooh, okay.
I will always happily recommend to any marriage where the game playing is very one-sided. It's one of the best like shared things my wife and I have done together. And it's because it's incredibly simple to play, a very charming design and a very charming story. There's no real fail state, and the challenges don't necessarily get harder. There's just more of them in slightly different settings, and that meant my wife was able to do stuff without me having to tell them what to do, and they were the one actually like allowing us to progress through the game. So that's the kind of game model we succeed in. And the one we played recently that paid off similarly to Untitled Goose Game is called Henry Halfhead, which was actually a recommendation from a podcast you and I both enjoy. The story is really much not denser, but there's a lot more meaning behind this game than Untitled Goose Game, which is kind of just frivolity.
Sure.
The one problem with both of these games, I wouldn't say fail, but they're limited, is there's no real replayability. Once you've played through it, especially with Henry Halfhead, there are elements to the game that are saying, look, you can come back and play this game because I know you didn't do all of these interactions, but I can't see my wife being like, all right, let's do that again, because with Henry Halfhead, there definitely is a beginning and an end to that game.
Yeah.
However, the counter to that point is they're always cheap. Speaking in Canadian dollars, I think they were both about 12, which is not very much whatsoever to pay for a computer game, which you might have a lovely weekend with your wife playing. It's really value for money.
Yeah. A great way to interact with a partner who is not game inclined. I've always wanted to play Untitled Goose Game.
I
enjoyed I've enjoyed every scrap of video that I've seen of it. It looks utterly charming, as you mentioned. So it will be something I play. Henry Halfhead, I'm looking at some screenshots now. It also looks very visually interesting.
Visually, it's not that wildly different from Untitled Goose Game, like flat colors, round shapes. Yeah, very geometric. And I was a bit worried because I played it by myself and I was like, ooh, the beginning, you're a baby. And I'm like, oh, is my wife going to see this as a bit too infantile? But no, she was locked in from moment one. And it honestly, when you have, your wife really wants to play a game and they're really enjoying it, it is the spiritually pleasing feeling of being like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You're having a good time. Yeah.
Oh, those are two surprisingly touching bonus picks.
That's
Sam.
right. It's and Henry Halfhead, yes.
And it's time to mention next episode's
title.
Let's
see where we're going next.
Yeah, next time for our G-Spot Season 1 finale episode.
Oh, snap.
Say it isn't so. And you know what? For people listening, there'll be a bit of a break, but not too much of one.
No.
Because we'll keep on recording. But for our Season 1 finale, it'll be time for us to get a bit sentimental and celebrate family with 1967's Son of Godzilla.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I can't wait to find out Wife of Godzilla then. Maybe that's what we should have saved the swimsuit question for.
Oh, maybe.
I'm sure she's like Miss Pac-Man. She just has a bow on her head.
Well, we'll find out next time, won't we?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Right on.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks so much, Sam. It was a real pleasure as always.
Yeah, it was lovely. A nice little jaunt to the beach.
Yeah. And
yeah, absolutely.
We should also, I guess, plug the email address, since that's all we've got. If you want to get in touch with us here at the G-Spot, you can email us at gspotpod@gmail.com. That's GEE spot pod@pod.com. Send us your thoughts on any of the Godzilla series, especially if you agree with us about how awesome all of these movies are. And if you feel like leaving a review wherever you're listening to us, please do. That would be really awesome. Also, if you like our show, tell someone about it. That would also be really awesome.
Yeah, please.
All right. Well, that's all from me.
Yeah. Right on.
See you next time, buddy.
Thank you, Ebirah. Yep.
Thanks, Ebirah. Thank you, Condor.
That's right. Thank you.